Good morning, everybody. Afternoon, evening. Happy Friday the 13th. Horrifying slasher mode. Welcome to Aspire Fridays. As you can see, I am not in my normal spot. I am actually on the other coast. I'm in Redmond, Washington. I'm Maddie. I'm here with Fowler in person and with Damien, who refuses to scooch his chair any closer to me.
I am at the table with. Oh, wow. I have like AV crap coming out the side of mine.
So you're just going to see his nose today and hear him from beyond. We thought it would be fun to do this in person, and then we realized
everything's worse in person.
Everything's worse in person. Right? And so we're here with the ultimate slasher. Just kidding. We're here with Joe, who many of you probably know as an MVP, and he's been around. He's done the conference thing. He makes a lot of very good content himself. And so we thought that would be a very fun content on content. Aspire Fridays, week 3.
A collab, if you will.
A collab.
There you go.
Content. It's early. Usually this would be like 1 p.m. for me.
This is super late.
And I'm dying. Joe, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, this mask is hot. My name is Joe Gradagno. I'm, as Maddie said, I'm Microsoft MVP. I've been an MVP for 17, 18 years. Former president of .NET Foundation, an active blogger, public speaker, both domestically and internationally.
Amazing. Oh, I still have your screen up. Hold on, take that down for a few minutes. I'm not even all over the place today.
We're in frame.
What do you want us to aspirify today? What have you brought to the Council of Aspirations?
Council of Aspirations. You need bumper stickers for that or something.
Yeah, pretty good.
So this is an app I started probably 2 years ago, maybe 3. And the concept behind it is because I do a lot of public speaking, blogging. During COVID, I was doing a lot of YouTube streaming and stuff. So I got tired of copying and pasting links to blog posts and putting them on Twitter or Blue Sky or LinkedIn or Facebook or you name it. So I, like most developers, I wrote a tool to do it instead of buying something to do it. But I wrote a tool mostly so I can start learning different things like Azure Functions, the different components of it, storage buses, etc. So it was a learning experience experiment for me. So this particular site now will, whenever it monitors my YouTube channel, it monitors my blog, and if there are any new posts, it'll go and put them out on multiple different publishers. Publishers right now are Twitter, or X, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and I can just plug in additional ones as I need. I'm also working on a different component to it that will handle public speaking engagements. So the thought behind it is, hey, I'm going to speak on the Aspire channel today. I put in the schedule that Friday the 13th, 2025 at 9:30, I'm speaking, and then it will go and generate all the social media posts for it. So start out like 30 days prior to saying, hey, next month I'm speaking here. Here's a link to register. A week before, hey, I'm speaking here. And then half hour beforehand say, hey, if you're at conference XYZ, I'm going to be in room 123 at 10 o'clock. And then afterwards, when it's done, post out resource links to it.
You should sell this.
We should use it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm so bad at this. I'll be like, people will be like, yeah, people at the conference, so I'll like promote it when I get to email. And then like a day before, I'll be like, if you're already there, I'm there. I also don't know what room I'm in because I haven't looked at it. I'm not going to figure that out right now. So this is
vibe-based promotions.
Vibe-based promotions.
Pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good idea. So I was telling Joe before, and we were keeping with the theme of Aspire Fridays, in which even though our guests have been kind enough to give us content beforehand, and in this case, Joe shared the repo with me, so I'm going to share it with all of you. We did not look at anything.
At all.
I opened the repo and I started to look, and then I had to stop myself. And I was like, don't look. I can't do this.
You want to share it on the screen?
I'm going to share the screen
No, I
now.
meant the repo there.
Oh, GitHub. Very good. This is, and yeah, this is the repo here. So very exciting. It looks like you're kind of actively working on it. So hopefully it's at least like sort of up to date with .NET.
Yes, I bumped it up to .NET 9 a couple months ago when it came out. But I've been actively trying to work on some secret management stuff to automatically rotate secrets, because there's a website that goes along with it that allows me to schedule and view the different things that are going out.
Amazing. Okay, I'm playing with our mic in here.
This is
Once
pretty
they
awesome.
can't hear us.
Good.
You just blew me.
Yeah.
Let me know if this is better. Chat.
I can hear you better now.
Okay, good. I and if it starts echoing, let me know and I'll fix it. But I'm manually bumping up because we're great at AV. We're really good at it. All right, so yeah, your screen's up. So we're all actually in the live share beforehand today, like good adults. And that's me. That's me being too loud. I'm sorry. I will talk slightly less loud. What was I gonna say? Oh, you got a lot of projects in here, dude.
1,000.
So when you run this, when you go to develop it, what do you do? You just pick one? You run them all? Is there a solution that kind of works?
So I basically run the web app and the API when I'm doing the day-to-day, unless I'm actively working on one of the Azure functions that are here.
Okay.
It just depends on what I'm generally doing. Usually I'm spending most of the time in the Azure functions, building out new ones.
That's cool. And the functions are what posts all these collectors?
Yeah, the functions do the posting, checking databases, checking Twitter. There's also a couple of different maintenance ones. I have a maintenance function that I built that clears the old logs, because at one point I was logging so much that I hit my spend limit and my site shut down for a month. I was logging way too much, something to the outlines of like 3 or 4 gig a day. I forgot to turn off debug and trace logging in production. So I have something that goes through once a month or once a week and kind of clears out logs less than a month old or more than a month old.
That's pretty funny. That's really good.
Yeah.
I noticed this week. So the reason I'm here, the reason they have allowed me back into their horrifying 85-degree one day, 55-degree the next day state. It's worse than Boston here. You guys, it's just. Ooh. It's because I locked Damien and Glenn Condren, who was on our first stream with me, in a room for 3 days. And we were working on an internal tool that Damien has been maintaining himself for years and years and years. We're trying to Aspirify it. I realized Blazor in VS Code, anytime you move the mouse or scroll the editor, if you go to the Blazor log output in VS Code for the Razor editor, it reports like 100 logs. And they're doing it because they're trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah. But I was just playing around with it and watching all the logs scroll through. And then we went to go send debug logs to someone on the team, and I was like, I can't even find them anymore. I scrolled once and it's all gone. So
that's we had this thing I built a long time ago, when Damien was the PM for Razor, and it would show the generated code in the IDE while you were typing. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning about the Blazor pane. Thanks, Jeff. Claude 4 is much better at Blazor. I was very excited about it.
Okay.
Anyways, all right, Joe. Right-click Add Aspire. Let's get started.
Maybe run it first.
Oh, you want to run it first? Yeah. Show us
the app.
Show us what you do. Show us your life. I'm gonna loudly crack my seltzer too.
Sorry, with the resolution, it's really gigantic on my screen. So.
No, this is good. It makes the case for Aspire even stronger.
You've got all the good things on VS. You can tell you're a pro presenter because you have the presenter mode. You have like all the things, the shortcuts, the mace. I love it. All right. Oh, nice. Okay. Swagger.
This is the API, and you have so there's auth. I see you have. Is there a database?
Yep.
Is it SQL Server?
It's actually either. So behind the scenes, there's a class library that you can go and change to SQL or MySQL, but this one is using SQL Server behind the scenes.
If you do MySQL, who starts it? Where does that happen?
I'm sorry?
If you change to use MySQL in the project, who has to start it? Where would it come from? Is there some way of like turning it on?
For this particular project, you basically would have to create or recreate this SQL.data.SQL. This is the SQL Server version of it. I don't have the MySQL version of this. All the other apps I do kind of, you can swap out.
Yeah.
But this one was built to be able to be swappable.
Yeah. One thing I want to add with that line of questioning was SQL Server works probably because you're using local DB, which will spin up an instance on the fly when you like access it using the local DB connection.
I am using Docker for MySQL.
Awesome.
Well, look at that.
You're way further ahead than I think most.
Advanced developer only.
Wait, so do you have Docker running already, or was it not running?
Yeah.
Is there?
It's my SQL Server that's running that database right now.
Is that a thing that was always running before you even started?
It's like a shared instance.
It's shared across like multiple.
Yes, I run it in general on this dev Docker.
Got it.
Interesting.
Only because I use it for a couple of different things and I don't want SQL Server installed on my machine.
Yeah. So you use it like a lot of people would use a SQL Express install back in the day, or SQL Server Developer Edition install, but you're just running it in Docker and it runs all the time, and whenever app needs SQL Server, you can do that, right?
Correct.
Okay. Seems like you do the same for Redis and a few other things you've got in here.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
And you're using I guess when you do that, you're using the well-known ports for those systems.
This is good, actually. So when we,
with the exception of SQL Server 2025,
okay,
yes, I can't.
Because you've got two instances of SQL Server, you had to change the port to the second one. All right, this is good. So when we get to the point where we're adding SQL Server as a dependency, it would be good to connect to the existing container specifically. So it's still modeled as a container dependency in Aspire, but we connect to the existing container rather than That's hard mode.
You want hard mode.
It is hard mode, but that is a scenario that we try to make support, try to work, right?
Every week.
Because the easy mode would just be model it as a connection string in Aspire and just point it, say, hey, I got a connection string, just use this connection string. I'm not even going to tell you it's SQL Server. The hard mode is, and then the other easy mode is, hey, I need SQL Server, and then we just spin it up for you. The hard mode is what we're saying is I've already got a SQL Server. That is a container. I want you to use it. I want it modeled as a container, and I want you to use it. But we did do some features for that in like 9.2, so we should try and do that. All right. So Maddie, what did you say? Let's add Aspire.
Right click add. I'm going to try and switch to this mic because it's echoing naturally.
You mean okay?
It says it's echoey. I think it's ambience of bad.
We'll see. Well, I mean, we're using a conference like room mic, so the echoing is just going to be what's inherent in this room.
We're gonna try. Hold on.
Better.
Oh. Okay.
Lost audio. Now I hear myself.
Okay, is this better?
Yep. Can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Is the quality like decent?
Yep. Release for you. I don't
Boys?
hear anyone else.
Here we go.
We'll see how it is.
We'll see how we go.
Now it's
Well, that was 10 seconds ago,
Okay,
so
good.
it's okay. We're on a slight delay. This is what happened yesterday. We tried to use the mic room to talk to one of our team members in Australia, and then he was like, "Just do it through the Mac. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh,
They give us cables. In
Oh,
the room.
Joe's gone!
In.
now
Oh.
Joe is dead." We're doing amazing.
I knew she stayed home.
I know. We should have just done this at
Why
home
does it show us as muted?
because I'm the audio.
Oh my lord, God, this is so hard to keep in my brain.
It's okay. You're so
So
confused.
you're joined in StreamYard as well. You're-
He's back. Chucky's back.
Edge just died on me. I guess.
Ed never
guess-
does talking about.
Dude,
guess,
we're in full Friday behavior mode.
Yeah.
This is great.
No one's at work.
I
Pretty
know.
good.
Bring back Skype.
Bring back Skype, dude.
All right.
Technology is hard. All right, you're gonna have to reshare your screen, but
Yep.
then we're just gonna right-click add, baby, and
This one won't have
Friday
as many-
behavior
as many
ourselves to
views.
glory. No, you didn't tweet this one.
I was last minute.
Tweet
You know
it.
what? Maybe we'll use Joe's app. When we're done.
Oh, that's a good idea. Uh-oh, localhost refused to connect.
Yeah, I got to renew the API keys.
Problems
this.
when you don't use a plug.
The client ID secrets.
Okay. The Mac has fixed the problems.
All right. So he's launched the app, but sorry, what did you say, Joe? Why is it not running right now?
The client ID secrets because it uses Entra for permissions. I use the Microsoft Identity Library.
Even locally.
Yes.
Apparently, I haven't run it in 3 months, and the credentials expired.
Ah, okay. And so you're not using a cert. You're only using a client secret.
I'm sorry, I'm running what?
You're using a client secret rather than a certificate then.
Correct.
You know, research.
I can never get the secret to work or the client certificate.
Oh,
Yeah.
See, we're not allowed to use secrets in here. Like they literally have banned it inside. You try to do it, and it kicks you out of the portal.
If I can get it to work, I'd love to do it.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
right-click add.
Okay,
Are
where
we
am I
doing
going to get to?
We're just adding the hot post separately.
Oh, you want to do Aspire New?
Yeah,
You wanna do
so-
it manually?
So
No, right-click add. We're in Visual Studio, dude.
last week we did add orchestration through this experience.
He does have his PowerShell up there.
I think it is easier for existing apps
To
like
add the
this
app
just to add the app host,
I agree.
especially when there's so much stuff like there is here.
Or add an empty project. You got the empty template. There's both the
Right, but
defaults
to be
and the
clear,
app host.
adding Aspire orchestration to a project uses the empty template, which adds the app host and the service defaults,
But then it, also
but then it does other stuff. It tries to wire stuff up, and that failed last week.
Let's try it. Yeah.
But because it couldn't detect the code pattern, so it tried to inject the code, but then the analyzer trying to detect where the code was failed because the code was written in such a way that we couldn't figure out where the calls were. And it's fine. Like
It might work now.
it kept the projects there.
Yeah.
No, well, this app isn't quite as. It looks more idiomatic,
I know. I saw.
and so it would probably just work. Honestly,
Just try it.
So the question is, does the web app depend on the API, Joe?
Yes, it will.
Okay, so how about we start with the API?
Yeah.
We work our way from the back forwards because that gives us a better chance of seeing incremental success rather than starting with the most front-end app, which has the most dependencies, where you're unlikely to see it work until everything
It's all
is
done.
configured, right?
Why is there no icon on this link?
Because
Yeah.
we never added it.
Oh.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I was looking at that bug yesterday.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't even see it.
Yeah.
It's buried. All right. Let's do
All
it.
right, click it. Uh-oh. Let's see.
okay, so remember, this is the other thing. This experience is driven by the Aspire templating experience. And so before we do this, we should make sure Joe has updated his Aspire templates to the latest version.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
So
a
I
good
would
call.
click
Hit
cancel
cancel.
because unfortunately, we still don't have a template acquisition experience in Visual
Yes,
Studio
yeah.
that updates templates, which is something that we're still talking about what we can do from the Aspire side.
Yeah.
But in here, so we could choose this. We could do this two different ways. We could ask Joe to get the Aspire CLI and then let the CLI take care of getting the new templates, or we could do it the old-fashioned way and use .NET New. What do you want to do?
CLI.
All right.
Ready?
So you want to?
Can I take over?
I was like, what?
Can I use his terminal? I wonder if I'm allowed to.
I doubt it.
No, not in VS Code.
The
Okay,
thing-
ready? I'm gonna .NET space,
You're gonna make him type.
tool, space, install.
.NET
Shark. Tool.
tool.
Oh, sorry. .NET tool
How
install.
about you copy and paste the template?
No,
This is like painting over a telephone. This is great.
space dash G for global tool. Dash G.
Yeah.
Flag it.
I can't watch this.
You have to.
This
All right.
is painful.
Aspire dot CLI, one string with the dot. Yep. Yep. Space. Dash dash. Pre-release, one word. No dash in the pre-release. There you go. There you go. That's it. Enter.
No shade.
Oh, it's already installed.
Oh.
I did it last night.
Oh,
Oh, Joe preempted.
yeah.
All right. So what
He
do
could
you
have stopped me before I just embarrassed myself typing out the
Oh,
command.
what do you mean? That was gold. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
How do we verify that the templates that it's done? He has to run Aspire new, right? In order for the
Do
templates.
Aspire dash dash help. Does that have the version
We
in
should
it?
just run .NET.
Oh. Oh, it does have version. Dash dash version.
Yeah, the
That's in by default in system.command line. which we're
Oh,
using.
931. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, Zelma's Aspire upgrade. Oh yes.
Yeah, it's coming. So we need to use Aspire new in order for it to check the templates and then install them, right? So if we just type Aspire new with nothing else, won't it go through the first few steps where it does that?
Yeah.
Before it asks you things?
Mhm.
Val is not convinced. Isn't this how we just we're just going to use Joe's machine as a guinea pig here, right?
at this point, keep going.
Oh, all right. Do Aspire app host then.
I would just Control C at this point.
Oh,
No, that's not good enough.
It's not?
No,
So this
You have to get
doesn't
all the way.
install first? Oh.
that's why this was a bad idea in the first place.
all right.
The-
Just right click at it. It's fine.
There's no,
No.
there's no update command that runs without doing the actual template.
So,
Really?
Yeah, Joe, what I want you to do, let me help you, mate. Type .NET new, space new, space dash dash list. Yep, hit enter. It's deprecated because it's now a command.
Oh, right.
Maybe I should
So
go
all the
with
way should be some Aspire ones. Yeah, maybe we just do it in a dedicated terminal.
What is that?
Just do .NET, yeah, the top. So just do .NET new list. You don't need the dash dash anymore. It's just .NET new space list. Yeah.
Nice.
Just scroll to the top. Maybe maximize this while we're in here so it doesn't wrap. Beautiful. Scroll to the top.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. Okay. Aspire.
So there's Aspire there, and I want you to do Okay, now what I'm going to ask you to do is going to sound counterintuitive, but I need you to trust me. All right.
Let's run .NET update.
So I want you to run .NET new. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
.NET space new space uninstall, and then hit enter. Uninstall, and then just hit enter. Yep, hit that. That's going to show you what you have installed. So scroll up, and we want to look for the Aspire. Nope, that's it. So you actually have not got the templates from the package. You've got them from the workload.
Which is old.
So we need you to install the Aspire templates. So it's going to be .NET new install. No, .NET new install. So we're not doing a tool, we're doing a template install. .NET new install space aspire.project templates, which we will rename to just .templates one day, I think.
I don't think it matters.
Why?
We should just make the Aspire new
Aspire
Yes, we
upgrade.
should.
Yeah.
Have this.
This is why I
Have
thought
a
we were gonna-
separate
space,
a separate call.
space, and dash dash force.
False.
Force. FORCE.
Use the force.
My accent
Use the
makes it
force?
Use
difficult.
the force.
Force.
Force. How would you say that in Bostonian, Fowler?
Yeah. Hit enter.
8.2.2.
No. let's
I
say-
know.
So that'll be already available, and it's going to overwrite them, which is what we want.
Nice.
All right. So
All right.
now we have the latest templates. We can go back to Visual Studio.
Whoop. Do you have to restart VS or does it?
I don't know.
Is it cached?
I would restart VS.
We got to sense the team. The team has to watch this. This
I
is
know.
like perfect.
Oh, and the
That means
live share is going to
sharing.
die,
That's
just
fine.
by the way. We'll come back
do live
later.
share. And then to force VS to update its cache, it may be that it does it in other
It'll
ways.
update by itself.
Well, if you do project new.
Oh.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do file new rather than opening file new, and we're going to cancel it after the first screen. So file new project.
This is not real. Don't make him do this on
I'm sorry. Do you want this to work
This
or not?
is crazy.
Now this delay here is because it's updating your template cache. So you can ignore this and hit and like escape out of this. So now I know VS's template cache is updated.
YouTube, I am not sure that was needed. Just
This is the pedantic Damien experience. I know. I get it. I appreciate it. You want it to work.
You guys are free to drive, and I'll leave. And
No,
we'll see it all
stop.
crash and burn. It's fine.
Oh.
Right. So now go back to right mouse click Aspire.
Okay, now. And what time is it? Let's see. 30 minutes in. Right mouse click. Add Aspire.
this is as bad as the first live share.
Where we couldn't get the live show to work? Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. We're learning.
This is good to know, though. I mean, we should prioritize the update experience. Normally,
Yeah. You have to do it on a project.
So go to
So
a
pick your
project.
most project.
Go to the API. Go to the API. Yep. Right mouse click. Add. .NET Aspire Orchestrator support, because that's obviously the most.
no icon.
We need to change that string.
All right. So now it has a version.
Yeah.
So this is how we know it's up to date, because now the version
The
is there.
version wasn't there before.
No,
Look at that.
because there was only one version installed, so it didn't show you a version picker. Right now we forcibly overwrote with the new templates.
No.
Chet said you were right.
Thank you. Chet, I will send you the $50 in an envelope. All right.
All right,
so-
there we go.
And it's telling you it's going to create two projects, the app host project and the service defaults project. And it's picked up the existing prefix from the solution name, and it's going to apply those to the new projects. And so hit OK.
Why is my machine smoking right now?
You have to close and reopen Visual
Wait,
Studio,
is it
okay?
hot? Is it hot there too?
All right. So
Okay.
that did it. And now it's opened the Aspire welcome page because you have an app host project now.
The UI that's broken. I think that's because of the.
That's the resolution.
It's
right.
zoomed because it's zoomed.
Sorry.
zoomed in resolution,
It's
yeah.
either you see it and it looks horrible, or you don't see it but it looks great.
Look at this.
Yeah,
It's because I think
That's
Joe
fine.
changed environment
Change
font
the font size
size.
somewhere.
which is good.
It's all right. VS.
Well, you wouldn't be able to see the Solution Explorer if you didn't.
I usually just zoom in if I do that if I want to show you something. But yes,
Uh-huh. All right,
All
open
right.
the app host. Open
let's open
apphost.cs.
the apphost.cs file. All right, look at that.
Everyone added it. Sweet.
Run it.
You're
Say
terrible.
run it.
Run it.
Yep, and you'll note that the launch project got changed to the app host, and it's using the profile names that we use in our most recent .NET templates from .NET 6 forwards, where it's called HTTP6, HBS, and HB. So yeah, if you just run this, it's going to run the app host project. Okay?
Joe, did you click the button?
Yeah.
He's a button clicker. Leave him alone. He's letting his.
I'm not judging.
Yes, you are.
I'm just looking.
That's why you asked.
I'm just looking. I'm watching the screen.
Clicking the button is actually better for streams, so
Yeah.
people can see what you did.
Exactly what you're
I
doing.
didn't say it. What?
Did you
Why
guys-
are y'all jumping on me?
.NET gang, did you guys know that F5 is not colloquial in any other
Of course
ecosystem?
not. It's a VSism.
I know it is,
Hmm.
but it works in VS Code.
Yes.
And some people I know who straddle .NET and others
Right.
still use F5 as the colloquialism.
Right.
And then I'm talking to like pure JavaScript people, and I'm like, "Do you know what F5 means?" And they're like,
Right. Look, there's a dashboard.
Whoa.
How's your mapping?
F5 means refresh in the browser.
That's right, it does. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
you can you zoom in the browser slightly? Yep, lovely. Maybe not quite that far.
Look at that. Now it's in the.
There we go.
Mobile. Yeah, nice.
This is good. And so if you click on the URL there,
Make sure-
see it's picked up the launch URL from your launch profile.
You're welcome.
"What do you mean you're welcome? You didn't do that. He
I
did
didn't.
that."
Oh no, he changed it after it was there.
It's like listening to Laurel and Hardy over there,
It's the coffee.
or Walder and Statler, one of the two.
Oh yeah, that's the group chat picture I have of the two of them.
So let's just quickly go through what the dashboard is going to give you now, having only done this one step. Under the actions column, there are two buttons. There's a stop button, and then the second button is the console log. So if you click on the console logs, you
Matty.
can see all the logs. Call back to the first episode.
There's all the logs from the app that just got booted, and I don't see any errors. So it looks like the app at least started fine, and is happy from that point of view. So that's a good start.
Super interesting.
Mm.
I'm seeing request logs. It tells me your logging is like cranked up to 11.
Yeah, remember he said he was getting like three.
You're using Serilog. I can tell.
Yes.
Because of the format. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go to traces actually. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because we did hook up service defaults.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We didn't look.
The
So-
right click would have hooked it up though.
So
Would it tell you if it failed to add the?
Yes, it fails. So go to the left-hand side. You'll see that there's a traces button.
Mm-hmm.
Click on that, and we now have OTel traces because adding Aspire in Visual Studio, part of what happened there was it added references to the service defaults project to the project that you initiated the whole action from. So
Right.
you did it from API.
Right.
And so that's hooked up open telemetry. And now we're actually seeing errors in the sense that these traces are showing failed posts that have occurred against your broadcasting API. It looks like you've got some timer every 2 seconds or something is coming up. And if I look on the left, I should say.
It shouldn't be. I don't know what that is.
Well, we could click on it and have a look. And so if you click on that to get the details,
No, hold on. Let's click on explain trace.
I mean, you can do that.
Oh,
Copilot.
If you just click on that,
On the actual trace. Yeah, there you
click on
go.
that trace entry, you get all the details there. So there's a connection error. So it's either trying to,
It can't cut the storage.
it's trying to write to storage right now.
okay, which makes a lot of sense.
Awesome.
Good.
So actually, click on explain trace just to show off the Copilot feature.
There's a button
Right at the very top of the.
the button at the top that has the Copilot icon.
So
To your left, I leave that open.
Left.
That's fine.
Left and up a little bit. Up.
In the above this area, Joe.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go, right.
Yeah, click on that.
Okay, right there.
Yep.
They're forcing you to demo Copilot.
Oh, you don't
Oh.
have it. You're just not signed in. Okay.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a small problem
Oh,
with Copilot.
Did you guys hear about this?
What?
Joe left the country for like a conference or vacation or something, and they have
Yep.
completely locked him out of Copilot in GitHub Enterprise because of a trade regulation. And he has been emailing, like tweeting, he's been emailing the MVP alias. I've been like pinging people internally, like, hey, can you, this guy is not an international like criminal trying to smuggle Copilot in. Can you let him
Yeah.
code?
Yeah, apparently my VPN connected to a server in Syria as opposed to Lebanon, where I was, and Syria is not allowed in the GitHub Copilot, so it
Right.
flagged my account. I have no longer access
No
to any
Copilot,
private
guys.
repos. I don't have access to Copilot. I can't use any GitHub build actions anymore until my
Right.
account gets cleaned up.
Yeah. So anyone in the chat who I mean, we're gonna continue to ask people internally, but
Okay.
one day we'll get you back.
All
Yeah,
right.
Sean says you're a secret agent. It's true.
Nice.
All right, so let's close that. So let's see if we can get the API out running cleanly. So it looks like it's trying to, it can't talk to storage, like you said, and something is trying to connect to it. Or it's trying to connect to storage, it looks like. And it's failing.
Yeah, that's because I don't have Azure running.
Well,
All right.
let's
Let's
fix
do
that.
that.
Let's
fix
set it
that
up.
in Aspire. So close the dashboard, close this browser, and we will add Azure Storage to the app host. We will tell Aspire that you use Azure Storage, and we will configure it to use the Azure emulator. So if you right mouse click on your app host project in Solution Explorer, that was the CS file. Do it on the project for me, please.
For dependency.
Right mouse click on there, and then say add, and you'll see that there's a .NET Aspire package.
No
inside.
icon.
Click on that,
I know.
and that's going to
And
launch.
I can live troubleshoot for you guys too.
Yeah.
And so this is opening the NuGet gallery with a pre-populated filter. You'll see that the search box has a bunch of stuff in it. I want you to keep that stuff in there, but put your cursor in there in the search box, and then hit the end key to get to the end of it. Hit space, and then just type Azure Storage.
It's right there.
Or
But
it's
I'm sure that
fifth
search,
one on-
I know
The search works.
the search works. The
I
whole
hope it does.
yes, and then hit enter,
Hope it does.
and then there it is. Right, so that gives you the Azure Storage hosting integration. So if you click
that was
on
really helpful because I couldn't see that far down on my screen. So
Right.
Oh.
That's because you're zoomed in.
Yep.
So click on that result, and we'll go ahead and install that.
It's like pair programming. Microsoft is the worst.
Damien's really good though, because he actually says, "Nope, don't click on the
He
project
does.
file. Click on the project." And I'm like, "No, not that. The thingy.
You mean
And you just scream.
You mean the thing that makes me really annoying to work with, where I'm hyper specific about everything, is actually
Which-
helpful in some contexts?
What I learned was to tell Damien line numbers much easier.
Oh yeah,
On
always
line
turn line numbers on.
76.
Yeah.
76.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
Not 84.
All right, so that installed.
Yep.
Let's go back to apphost.cs.
So good. He was meant for this.
Yeah.
All right, so on line 2,
Pedant.
before we add the
Before.
project, we're going to add, add Azure Storage. Look at this. And then I'm going to let Fowler drive because I've never used the Azure APIs in Apphost.
I have.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll
Don't make me drive.
Oh.
I just wanted to say I did.
So you want to call add Azure. You see it. Add Azure storage is there.
Your autocomplete is
Be
being too
more
aggressive.
specific, Fowler.
You'll see it. So go
No,
back.
he did.
Go back.
But you didn't say.
Add
There's a call
Azure
to add
storage.
Azure storage. You see it in the IntelliSense.
Yeah.
So when you add that package, it'll add the baseline Azure. You're gonna type the whole thing.
Oh, because IntelliSense didn't light up.
Control space, because he backspaced from the end of a completed token,
And you
it
give it
doesn't it doesn't relaunch statement completion.
Give it a
You-
resource name. So every resource in Aspire
Yeah.
has a name.
Yep, in parentheses with 2 quotes.
So you're calling
and it's
a-
a string.
You're calling a function.
And this is what it
passing
shows up
string.
as in the dashboard.
Yep.
So call it whatever. Storage, Azure8,
Call it whatever it means.
whatever. Perfect.
Well, okay, it's pretty important to not just call it whatever because that becomes the name of the connection string passed into your dependencies.
Cool.
And oh, you look, the analyzer
Spaces
told
are
you.
not allowed.
Yeah, no
You've got
spaces.
squiggles there. It should tell you that why that's not allowed.
Love it. Beautiful. And I would assign that Azure storage to a variable. So I would do like var my storage equals builder dot add Azure storage at the beginning of this
I would
line.
never do that.
Who's fucking? I'm sorry. No. Oh, I made it so far without swearing. I was doing so good today.
The problem with this vibe is that you just get too relaxed.
I get
It's
too
too
comfortable.
All right, so var,
Well, first of all, I would figure out in your app itself
right.
where you're consuming storage. How do you read it from the actual configuration?
The API, right now we only serial log uses it, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
We just use the variable storage account to set the permissions, and then internally within serial log, we just reference that, I believe. I didn't actually think I used serial login for the API. Let's see. Oh yeah, here I did. Azure table storage.
The storage. Right. This is going to be stupid. It's definitely not storage. I think. So you pass in the storage account connection string, and then Sterilog creates the table. It looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
With this
So-
extension, all I do is just give it the connection string, and it will do everything.
Okay. So
One question before we move ahead.
Mhm.
Joe, when you run this locally normally, you don't seem to have a lot of differing config between like running in development locally versus running in production. I noticed you like call with Microsoft Entity UI, for example, in the web app to use Entra-Auth even when you're running locally. Here you've got like Azure Table Storage being used even when you run locally. Is that correct? I'm missing something.
Yes, but in all honesty, I use Writer generally when I do this. So I have a build profile that does a lot of the starting of Azure storage and all the configuration I do. So
Got it. Okay.
this is the first time I've really done it in a while with Visual Studio. So
That's fine.
everything I don't have those configs set up.
Run with Azure Storage Emulator locally.
Yep.
But you do use Entra-Auth all the time. Is that correct?
Correct.
And there's no local emulator for that.
Great.
Correct. That
Okay.
goes directly out.
Okay, so we're at the point where we basically still want to just get that
get storage working.
get storage working, run the emulator locally, make
Yep.
sure the app is configured correctly to do
Mhm.
that. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So let's do that.
So go back to your app settings. Your app settings, you read the storage configuration from a very specific config key.
Yep. Since this is dev, it just does the use development storage in this particular case.
So I'll do Damien. So what you have to do is you have to set that specific setting from the app host into your application to be the right value when you launch the app host storage resource. So go into your app host.cs file, and you're gonna assign the add Azure storage resource to a variable. So you can do var storage equals on line 3. Just associate that with a storage variable. And I am not even sure if this is going to work using table storage. And then declare a second variable called table.
You don't want to just do the ... It
won't work. And then do this equals storage.addTable. So this is saying give me the table endpoint for the storage resource. You have to name it as well. So give it some name, like this is your logs, I guess. Call it logs.
Yeah, log table.
And this is just the connection string today. This will not create a table resource in the current version. In future versions, it will end up doing that kind of stuff. All right. Now, this is the part I think everyone should be learning from all these streams is you can translate iConfiguration, being read in the app into environment variable schema. So when you have a JSON string that says, I think your thing says settings and then storage account name, is that the name of your app settings?
Yep.
So can you settings : storage account? So I guess to rewind, if you use iConfiguration in .NET, there's a schema for how we translate JSON, environment variables, whatever else, file formats into the configuration format. So even though you have JSON-based config, when you're reading iConfiguration, it's a flat list of key value pairs. So what you have to do now is say, I want to override that setting from the app host. So you're going to specify settings __ storage account name is the name of the key, and you're gonna assign the table variable to an environment variable of that key value pair. So on add project, you're gonna call the with environment method. Line 6, you're gonna at the end there, you're gonna just get
Here.
No, on the as a call after. What do you want to say? Chained off of this call.
Oh, okay.
With environment method.
And what's the method?
With environment.
Okay.
And this thing will take a key value pair. So the first value is the name of the environment variable. And you're going to pass in settings __ storage account name. And I believe that's the name of your
storage account.
Okay, perfect. And then you're going to pass the table resource there as an object. Yeah, just pass table. Yep.
All right, so to make this idiomatic, typically we wrap these calls on new lines. So put a new line before the dot. There we go, and tab that in. Perfect.
Yeah, so this is going to set the connection string for the table. It'll set the table connection string in the environment variable settings __ storage account. And hopefully this works.
The value I saw on the other one didn't look like a connection string.
Mm-hmm.
You go for access.
When using local, this is the.
Oh, that is the magic find Azurite.
Okay. Yes.
Got it. So we haven't started Azurite. You haven't told him to do that yet.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's going to start it.
You want to? Oh,
this does start Azure. Oh,
it
sorry.
No,
it sorry. Line 3. This will attempt to
run as emulator.
Azure, yeah.
Sorry.
This will attempt to talk to Azure. It'll tell you I can't find the resource in your. First of all, it'll say you haven't configured a way to get the Azure storage resource. So in Aspire, we have support for the emulators. One for the Service Bus, Cosmos DB, Event Hubs, and they're all defined by calling run as emulator chained off of the top level Azure resource. So on line 3, can a call to run as emulator on that call. Yep. And this says when I'm running locally in F5, use Azure, right? But when I deploy, use a real Azure storage account. So this should be enough to make it work, hopefully. Let's see what happens.
See what happens.
Sick.
Click the button.
Wait. Let me hit Control F5.
No. Like this is it's better to click for your audience. Like they can see.
You're such a jerk.
Marty told me that it's better to click.
Well, there's another button next to it that is the effective. It's the
What's that?
equivalent.
Control
One to the
F5.
right is the
And this
whole-
tells me right here what I'm doing anyway, the shortcut.
Oh yeah, sorry. He does have the shortcut presenter
That's
on.
crazy.
Nice.
I've never even seen that.
Really?
We added that in .NET 7 when we did hot reload.
I've never seen that.
The run without debugging button. We
I
added
just
it.
never use it.
You make fun of me for this stupid little console logs button, and you don't know you can run without debugging from the IDE?
I don't click buttons in the IDE. I never do. Why would I?
Because you're showing people.
Shortcuts.
Oh, is this?
Did it blow up?
Did it crash? Why is it saying it's connecting? So you'll need to go back to the app host.
Yeah, if you go to the terminal, that VS popped up. Oh yeah, Outlook too. That's a good one.
Let's see your mail.
It stopped. Why did it just stop?
Oh, try again.
Just try it again.
Just try it again.
Just close the browser and
It's
then Control
It's the
F5.
button
or-
click. That's why.
Oh, stop it.
I'm gonna slowly click it from now on.
We should find the most laborious way of launching. Open Solution Explorer, find
Yes.
the project,
Right
mouse
click.
set debug, start new debugging instance.
Okay,
Alright.
that looks better.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, now it's all working. So that was weird. Why
So-
did it do that?
We don't know.
Okay.
So one thing we could do is just to verify the config is set in the right place. Click on the API. No, sorry. Click on the role, but not the link.
Click on the roll.
So row.
The row. And you get
So
a
right
detail on the right side when you click on it. It should pop out. Click on it. Yeah, there. And you should be able to inspect the environment variable for the settings __ storage. Yeah, right there. Environment variables. Look for settings _ there it is, storage account. You can view it. It's there.
If you hit the little other button that's there, rather than holding it, go back to where you were. Go down. Hit that little, scroll down.
To the
Sorry,
very bottom. Yep, that one.
that button. That will so you can actually see the value. Right there you go. That shows you that. Right. And so
Wonderful.
now we're not seeing any errors, right? Like we're actually, it looks like if you go to your traces now, go back to the traces view in the dashboard. We're not seeing errors. We're actually seeing it do stuff.
Did
Whoa.
it work?
So if you open one of those, click on it,
Did it work the first time?
it looks like you can see that it's doing posts to the storage and you're getting 202.
Holy crap, it worked!
Right.
That's
Do
pretty
we
good.
have a storage explorer or something?
You can
No.
download the Storage
Use
Explorer
Azure
app.
Storage
It's not
Explorer.
web-based is all.
Oh, it's not
If
web-based.
you have it installed, it'll discover
Okay.
containers actually.
Oh, are you using Power Toys? Is
Yes,
that the
technically I'm
launcher?
using command palette
Oh, nice.
with
Okay.
it.
Hell yeah. I mean,
So we should be able to connect to the container.
Just fun story. That feature was added by an employee who used Aspire and wanted this to just work.
Right.
Pretty cool.
So does this automatically discover
It does.
any emulator running in a container?
It does.
Wow.
Oh, it worked. Look at that.
So there's the logs that got created.
What?
Nice.
That was amazing. That was work.
pretty cool. It's almost like we built a resilient product. Almost.
All right. So we've got to the point of the APIs. What if you actually make calls to the APIs you're hosting, Joe? Do they have any other dependencies? We've done nothing with a database yet, for example. So I'm assuming you have to have a database working.
Correct. Database has to be running next.
Let's see it fail first, though.
Yeah. So
Yes, I want to believe you, but show
bring
me.
up the Swagger client for your project if it's still running. Yep. So go back to the resources view and click on the Swagger URL and pick the simplest API to test out. Do you have any that like don't require auth?
No. They all
No.
require.
Good.
That's unfortunate. It
So-
may be just working, but we'll see.
So for auth, do you have the client secret set up somewhere? Do you have it on your machine in secret somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah. Do we configure it then? Would that help?
Well, is the project already loading its own user secrets and it's correctly configuring
Yes.
Entra in the API?
Yep.
We don't want to see it.
So we could just ignore it for now.
Okay.
Right. Let's just try and invoke one of the APIs and see it fail to talk to the database.
So you have to log in first. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So like, Joe, if you go back to Swagger and you do what you would typically do if you just wanted to like try out one of these APIs via Swagger, so that we can see it fail to connect to the database.
It's going to get a 401 because we're not
Yeah.
Right.
authorized for it.
So
Right.
Can you authorize?
Well, that's what I said earlier, that the
His account is run out. So should I take your screen off so you can go get a new token?
Go do it.
Do you have a separate screen you can get a token on?
Yeah, I got it currently right now. I'm trying to
He's,
do it while
he's
we're
going
talking.
doing it while we're talking. Yeah.
You should hide the screen just.
It literally expired. Actually, no, didn't expire yet. Oh, maybe we're looking at the wrong one. Let's try.
Pretty good though. Oh, implicit flow. Oh, that's the deprecated flow. Only code flow no.
Right.
What does that mean? What does code flow mean?
And the code basically adds an extra step in the code that's generated. And then we have this back end thing, and you have to have the right code
Nice.
as part of the overall handshake for it to succeed.
Into this.
I think OAuth 2.1 only has code flow and client credentials. You can log on.
There are a lot of things I spend time learning, and auth has yet to be. I'm just afraid of it.
You should
I make
do it.
Damien do it.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's something that you won't learn until you have to. You
Yeah.
have to go through the pain to
Yeah.
learn it.
Pretty-
And then
pretty-
you have to relearn it because it changes every year.
Yeah, that's where all my apps stop working. Is when I have to auth, and then I just go, this is a fun project.
I spent probably 4 weeks on my stream getting this auth working with who was it? Who went to Christos and
Oh yeah.
forget the other guy, that the dynamic duo who created the Microsoft identity library or whatever it's called now.
Yep.
Because we could not get it to work, and I was using like pre-beta bits to try and get it to work. Okay, so I'm
No, he died again.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
We're gonna make auth super easy.
Val, are you promising us?
Are you
the
promising
world,
us?
Super easy.
signing us up for work?
It's gonna
Alright.
be super easy.
When you use Aspire, you mean? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everywhere
we will-
else,
we will get
that's
there.
not our
Because
problem.
config is the hard part.
So how's everyone doing today? We forgot to tell him before.
Pretty good.
Oh, Pine is the one who tells people before, and I
Okay.
always forget. Don't close Edge when you're in StreamYard.
Oh,
Because if you close your thing, it will close everything,
Right.
including the StreamYard, which
Yeah.
is fine. You know, we've all been there.
This is why browsers suck. You should have client apps.
So StreamYard, I realized, has a clap for joining as a guest, but you can't manage your streams through it, which is very annoying. So
you closed the wrong tab.
Yep.
It's all right.
There
He'll
you
be
go.
back.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
So in the meantime, let's just recap what we've done, what we're about to do. So we've gotten Aspire set up. We've got the app host launched. The API project that was already there is using the service defaults. That enables open telemetry. We saw that working. We got the Azure Storage tables account configured. We got the emulator running, and the API was able to successfully put its Serolog logs into that storage account.
Yep.
The next step is we wanted to observe one of those APIs trying to do something and failing, talking to a database. Yeah. And so the next step after that will be let's get a database configured so that Aspire knows about the database, and then it can inject the connection string into the application so that it works. What might be interesting is the app might already just work because the SQL Server is already running and it just has a static connection
The
string.
container.
Yeah. So it'll be more about reconfiguring it to get that connection string through Aspire rather than through its own settings. And the reason for doing that is the more you model in Aspire, the more you can do with Aspire.
Yep.
We can only, Aspire can only help you do things that it knows about. And so idiomatic and like ultimate destination for using Aspire is you put everything as much as you can
In the app
model
host.
in the app host project. So that A, when you launch it, it can configure things correctly, and then B, when you come to doing things like deployment, it can do the right thing, right? And that includes modeling secrets and parameters and things that aren't necessarily strong resources like a container or a project or some executable or some other Azure resource. You can also just model a URI that you connect to or a connection string. So Joe, we can see you in the chat. We can't hear you. You're not actually
Not in the.
Yeah, you haven't actually. Oh wait, you can't see him because.
Yeah, you didn't.
There we go. Joe's back.
Yeah.
All right, there we
Thanks.
go.
Hi, welcome back.
Thanks.
Did you
I was saying,
did you close it?
I didn't close anything. It just StreamYard just decided to stop. I'm sharing my whole window.
Oh wow, that's pretty funny. All right, there we go.
So
We back.
If I click execute, if it doesn't know about the SQL, it will bomb out with a 500. But it actually, like you were saying, Damien, it knows about it, so it pulled back a response.
Okay.
Sweet.
So we said we wanted to do hard mode.
Yep.
So what we're gonna
Well, I start by making it use a SQL Server container in the Aspire app first.
all right, so we'll do like the 101 version
Yeah.
first. Okay. So what foul is then that will lead us down. We have to get the schema set up and all that type of stuff as well because it'll be a clean database.
It's clean, yeah.
So Joe, how do you use Entity Framework Core?
Yes.
And where are your migrations? Or do you use migrations, I should say?
No.
Okay, so how do you typically create the schema?
Old school.
Like you have a script?
Yeah, I have a SQL script.
Is it a single file?
I believe so. Hold on. I haven't made a change to it in a while, so let me double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you typically, if you were to be setting up a new machine, you would just manually run this script the first time, effectively on the container.
Yeah, sort
Or
of.
batch
I
file.
basically, I copy the backup and I do the backup.
Okay. So, all right. So, is it fair to say no one has done a greenfield setup of this app in quite some time?
Correct.
Okay. You restore from backup typically, so you have your database in a known state and you just back up from that.
Yep.
But we're gonna use this. Well, Mighty will.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So you don't use migrations.
Good.
Where's the?
Nice. Look at that.
Nice. Where's the what?
Just has a way to do
If I just clone
scaffold
this
the
from
app.
scratch, if I clone this repo from scratch and I wanted to like get it running, what would you have me do?
Pray that it works the first time. There's actually a scripts, I believe, which has the DB.
Oh, perfect.
It's just not in the Visual Studio solution.
That's fine.
That's okay.
That's fine. So this we would run these two scripts on the database, and it would just work in theory.
Well, this will create the tables. This actually creates the database if it doesn't exist.
Okay. So
let's go hard mode.
Let's just try and get the table script to run.
Yeah. Let's
so
do it.
Let's. You gonna drive SQL Server?
Sure. So if you go back to your app host project in Visual Studio, and we're going to add another package. So right mouse click on your app host project, go to add .NET Aspire package. That's the file. So you're on the file again. You need to go to the project.
If you're more comfortable in Rider, you can definitely do Rider.
No, it's fine. I've been married for 27 years. I'm not used to listening well.
No comment. Escape out of this. I think we're still in the wrong place. Are you running the project right now? You are. You can't.
You can.
Nope.
No, you can't.
And we lost him again because it closed the browser.
Pretty good.
Oh,
that's the bug.
That's the bug.
That's the Chrome bug. So we don't want to.
Oh my god, that's so
launch under
frustrating.
debugging ever.
Ever.
F5.
Yeah.
Or you need to use a different browser for StreamYard. That bug is fixed, by the way. So we found this bug. Our customers started complaining about this bug. It's actually a bug in Chromium, the underlying browser engine that drives both Edge and Chrome. It was a bug introduced by the Edge folks apparently, and it was well intended. It's just the side effects weren't understood, and so now with one browser window it closes all of them.
Yeah.
That is being won't close any more windows because.
Yeah. So make sure you run without the debugger, because the debugger will open and close a browser for you.
Okay.
And when you stop it, it kills it all. So it's a whole thing. But yeah, Damien was just telling the story of how this came to be.
How we found it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now for Damien, I will type SQL Server, even though it's right there.
Even though it's right there.
Even though it's right there. Joe, you're a great sport. This was good.
Lovely. Like, yeah, click on that. We'll install that one.
Matching energy.
No, he's calm. I've drank with Joe, so I know he's not actually calm. I know he's just on good behavior. But I know he's matching our energy. He's balancing our energy.
Yes, this is a good balance.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go back to the app host CS file now. And we're going to do a very similar thing to what we did for storage. See if you can figure it out.
This is a test. No pressure. Whoa! Okay, we got this.
And just give it a name like SQL.
They all need names.
They all need names. Everything you add as a resource, you need to give a name. You're not in JavaScript.
I was thinking the same thing.
And then very similarly, instead of adding a table, you have to add a database. So no, do it as a separate line. That's fine. Then do var, like var_db equals SQL.addDatabase.
Why can't you chain these?
You can.
You can. It gets annoying as soon as you want to change things like container persistence. You have to get very specific about where you do it.
That's true.
It's not
Yeah.
annoying. It's not annoying for two databases.
It's annoying when you're trying to explain to someone over voice in front of 100 people. It's much easier to do it as a separate line. Beautiful. So now we have a database. What we want to do, though, is we want to get your script to run against that database, right? Now, I'm not sure whether the feature that
You got to use that thing. We built it for this reason.
Add executable?
With creation script.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but that's intended to create the database.
It is.
Right? Where he has two scripts. One that creates a database, and then another one.
Just combine them.
So what does that mean to just combine them?
So he did something crazy, where I think it parses those statements or something.
It does.
In the SQL?
Yes, it does.
And just runs
But it's
them?
only for SQL Server.
Yeah, but this is a server.
But it only supports one file right now.
Just read all text and combine the files.
You can pass a string literal?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Joe, there is an API on the add SQL Server call on the object return from add SQL Server. If you do a dot there, and then do dot with, you'll see that there's an option to do with. If you do dot with, and there's like a
With creation script.
with creation script or something. Is it not with?
It is with. Not with.
Well, then what is
Is it not add?
On the database or on the...
Oh, is it on the database?
Is it on the database? That's actually better. Do it on the database and not the SQL Server. My bad.
I'm not sure.
I think it is on the database because it's technically the script for the database. There it is with creation script.
Yep, there we go.
And if you open parentheses on that, we look at what it's telling us in IntelliSense. You can just pass it the script. Now, this is not the path to the script. It's the literal SQL script. So what Fowler is telling you to do is to basically write the code above this that reads those two scripts, combines them together, and then passes the resultant string into this API. That's what we're going to use today. That's what we're going to do right now.
Okay.
Now, hopefully folks watching and yourself can understand the building blocks here, and then you can refactor this or factor this however you want it to work. But the building block you have here is you can pass a string that is a SQL set of SQL statements, and it will execute them against the data as part of creating the database. So let's have a look at how that goes.
And so this is specifically on SQL databases?
It's on SQL. We support it on a couple of the different database integrations, but it works slightly differently on others just because of the features of those databases. What Fowler was saying before was that specifically for SQL Server, we actually parse what you pass in here and look for Go statements to basically find the different expressions, the different statements, and then we run them individually. via EO.net, right? We literally new up a database connection and we run them through .net. It might be easier, Joe, just to use the file API. I think there's a file.openread, and that will give you the stream.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Read all. There's a file.read all. It's probably easier.
Yeah, file.read
You
all
can do it in
text.
one. You can do it in one shot rather than getting a stream. You can just say read all lines,
That's pretty fancy.
and that will give you an enumerable of lines. And if you keep going down, sorry, it is much difficult. It is much more difficult when you only see 3 methods at a time. There are more read methods. So if you do scroll down,
read all text.
Read all text is the one that you want.
Yep.
That's
There
just
we
going to
go.
read everything.
Will is putting it in the chat. Hold on. He says string concat.
Yep, you can do it in one shot. You can literally just do
Yep.
string concat, or read all text plus read all text. We're not writing the most efficient code here. We're just trying to get it to work.
Yep. If we wanted it to be fast,
It'll be correct first.
Yeah.
Make it work, then make it correct, and then make it fast.
Yeah.
The old adage.
and then just put your file names
And
in
you'll
there.
need to put in the file paths
the
relative
paths.
to the app host.
So dot
I
path.
can't put fully qualified.
You can
Oh,
put
you
fully
can.
qualified, it'll just look ugly. And it means it's not portable. Like if someone else tries to do this, it won't work.
That's true.
So we would generally encourage putting relative paths in here, just so that you can check it in, someone else can check it out, and it works.
Nice.
Should be it.
That should work.
And the other one.
Amazing. Wait, were you just on the
Yeah,
phone
man.
with your barber to get your hair cut? He was. He's all stressed out. He couldn't get a haircut before this. 3 weeks? You an NBA player? They go for a lineup before every game. Is that what you're doing? You're going for a lineup before every Aspire Friday?
Every week.
That's crazy.
What is?
I get my haircut twice a year.
So you'll need double slashes or an at. Yep, perfect. Well done.
It's expensive.
Okay, and then pass the SQL text into the with creation script call.
I am so dubious that this is going to be at close relative.
Why?
Maybe it
You
is.
think no one checked?
Let me
They're meant to be.
And you F5 it is that
We.
project, so we
That's
did
what we're
that
supposed to do. Yeah.
for that project.
Oh, because of the file API specifically, because it's not us doing it.
Should work. We said working directory.
Control F5.
It should be for any
It'll
console.
definitely work when you run
Present
in-
working directory shouldn't
It'll
be.
work in VS. It won't work anywhere else.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Well,
add a container lifetime, or do we want this to do it every time?
If you've .NET run from the app host directory, present working directory should be
Yeah.
what all this is.
If you do
involved
that, from the,
Yeah.
if you do dash project, it will.
No. This is standard file path stuff. You have to be aware.
You could use the app host.
We have an API on the app
It
host that
is
says
there.
resolve.
It is there.
Where is
Look
it?
at this.
Where?
So there's an app host directory.
Oh, okay. So if we wanted to make this just a little bit more resilient to the file pathing issue, Joe, we could.
There's a base path you can get.
There's the
Builder dot
builder dot
app host
app
relative.
host
Called app host directory.
directory,
Wow.
and then you can use path.combine to combine that with your relative path to get
Yeah.
an absolute path that will always be correct.
What's this? What is going on?
No,
I
same.
understand. I understand.
I
Isn't this what most developers spend most of their day doing? Is dealing with this type of stuff?
Yes.
We added that for this reason. by the way.
And I do think there's some spaces in the second read all, just FYI, but we'll get there when we fix it.
Yep.
This is why I love Copilot, by the way. And partying girl.
Now, where is it going to be relative to?
The app host directory.
It's the app host. The app host directory is where the project is. So where your app host.cs proj is the app host directory.
So it's probably
Maybe we should call it
got so.
app host project, but then
It's the directory.
What did I miss? Path of file combine. Let's see which one works.
Yeah, hold on. You got space in your thing.
To the right.
You got space in your create.
Yeah.
Dash create SQL column in.
Yep. To the right.
I would. How about we wrap this line
Yeah.
a bit so we can read it in one go?
Oh, that's a good call too. Okay, I have to. Leave me alone. I'll be back. I'm breaking it then. Hold on.
Impossible.
No.
There we go.
Make sure
Yeah,
you
so-
control F5 so it doesn't go down.
Table space create space SQL. Get rid of the spaces.
Oh, hang on. Does it have spaces in it?
Does
Or
it have
not?
it does the font name have a space?
You did copy it.
Yes.
No.
No, it does
not. When you paste
Well,
it,
that's weird. I copied it too.
Yeah, I know you did.
No,
But
no,
sometimes the paste is too small.
paste it outside of a string.
Yeah,
literal,
it'll format it
formats
as code, and you'll end up with white space added. All right, so you'll need to do path.combine again.
I was trying it both ways just to see
Oh, okay.
what it looked like for the viewing audience.
So you'll need to, yep.
One more.
Yeah, you'll need
Yeah,
to.
so you gotta pass in the path, the base path.
No, you need to pass in the variable you declared on line 10 as the first argument to path.combine in both cases. Because you're going to be combining the outpost directory path with the relative path to get the. Yep, that's it.
So
Right.
much harder when someone else is barking orders.
Sorry, Joe.
It's totally fine. Just so viewing audience knows I'm not this inept at C#.
No, like absolutely. The cognitive load of listening to someone else
It's the worst.
and then translating
Yes.
that into the context is absolutely a thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So
So-
let's not F5. Let's try Control F5, just so we don't lose the browser again.
So we want to start without debugging, right?
Start with that. You can use the button to the right of it. Yep, that one. Boom.
Wait,
That's this problem
Oh,
right here.
I
It's
see.
reading that
Oh,
as
the
a
C. Ha ha ha. Escape character tab. I see.
We had 3 slashes instead of 2.
because it was complaining without the one, so I knew the /T was escape character. Okay, it's there.
Okay. So then if we go to the dashboard,
Sorry, it keeps popping up on a different screen.
Windows will always open it on the main monitor, so it's unfortunate. So just maximize this so we can use all the available space. And then we're going to see that the SQL Server is starting. So what you're going to, what is likely to happen, you can look at the logs. If you open the logs for that button on the right-hand side under the actions column, it may be acquiring the latest image. So it's pulling the SQL image. I think we changed this pull behavior to, we use a specific tag, which is maybe different to the tag that you already have pulled it as. And so it's Docker is pulling this in the background.
Yeah,
Pull
let's see
complete, and now it should start up.
Yeah, kudos to Joe.
Might
That's
actually-
the hardest thing ever.
What was that? Fowler?
The chat is giving you kudos because live coding is very hard.
So this is SQL Server's container initializing itself. And we should at some point see the creation script get executed. And I'm pretty sure the logs are supposed to go in here, aren't they?
No,
Oh, there we go. Look. Yes, they are.
It,
Yep. And so it's saying that there's actually, it didn't like some syntax in your script. So go use. So this looks like what Fowler was saying before. We try to process the script that you give us by looking for Go statements, and then we run them as separate statements. But it looks like, this might be a semicolon thing.
No,
We may not be very tolerant. We may not be very tolerant of a lack of semicolons after Go statements or on lines or something like that on these files. And so when we split it apart and try to run it as separate statements, we're munging it. So if you go and look at this file, and we just look at each logical statement, so your Go lines don't have, but the other ones do. It looks like it would be fine.
it does look fine.
But
Go,
apparently, unless there's one missing, it just seems strange.
unless the merge has been a weird thing.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, for that, maybe add a new line between the two files.
Oh, Joe, let's make sure we added a new line
At the end of the
between
first
the
file.
two files.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Or just hit enter at the end of your
Yeah,
file.
we'll just hit enter at the end of both of them. This is one of the reasons why all Visual Studio templates, text-based templates, end in a blank line, and why I always put a blank line at the end of my files, just to match whatever.
Yeah, because it failed right here probably because it did go use.
That's exactly what it is. Good pickup by the chat. So let's run that again. Now, because it'll just open a new instance, because when you do Control F5 or run without debugging, there's no browser tracking. So it doesn't know the tab's already open, it just launches a new one.
Yeah.
Which is fine. So you can close the first tab, in theory. The second one.
Hey, it's stream.
Why is it stuck?
I don't know. Where's the app? It's there. It just didn't.
Refresh.
It hasn't got the. It
Oh,
dropped
it's
the
not
query
login. It's not
string.
login. Just close the page and reopen it.
Hang on.
Delete the login.
Oh, okay.
It just load.
That
I
was
just
weird.
hit refresh. So
Oh, I see. Hit refresh.
Here's more water for you.
Strange.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
All right, so let's look at the logs. It all seems to be green now. Okay, so I created the database. Do you have a...
Hold on, did that work?
Yes.
Hold on. Pause. 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 Pause.
Pause.
That
Pause.
worked.
it didn't work. There's a failure right here in the log.
That's normal. So when you create a SQL Server container for the first time, it will attempt to log in as user SA, which doesn't exist yet. And
Yep.
So you almost always see a connection error when somebody tries to connect to it with SA, right? Which is what happens. But then it said it worked correctly after that. It said it created.
So it's starting up.
Yep.
Do you have any tools to verify that it's
So-
working?
Yeah. Do you have a SQL Server Explorer tool, like SQL Server Management Studio, something you can use to connect to the container and look at the tables?
I heard SSMS got a revamp in 2025.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
New
exciting.
version. And it's blue.
And you'll need to get the connection string. So if you go back to the resources page
Oh, we made it so hard.
and click on the SQL Server row,
Well,
click on the row. We don't list the connection string there. Oh, that's really silly.
I'll
We
send
really should.
I'll send it to you.
I was looking at this issue last night, and I was like, I can't believe we don't do this.
Okay. So don't do this. I thought we did. So there's actually no way to get it right now because we haven't called with reference on
You
anything.
can get, you can get it all.
Yeah.
We have to go back and call with reference. Unless the UI,
It doesn't.
is it just the name? Is it just localhost and a port in the
Mhm.
database name?
No password.
Yeah.
You can't get.
Yeah, what you need
Yeah,
from
it's
the.
just on
Yeah.
a different, just on a different port.
That's right. So,
Let me go put this issue.
I mean, we could just have faith right now and go to your Swagger endpoint and try and run the same thing you did before.
You gotta pass it into the actual.
You gotta have.
Oh, we haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Sorry, my
No.
bad. We've only used the database one. All right, let's go back to the app host CS. Now that the database is up, and we're just gonna assume that your script successfully ran because it said it did. And let's go and we're going to create a connection between your project and the DB. So where you said with environment, there's a couple different places to go. Where do you currently read the connection string from in your app?
App settings.
Where is it's custom. Everything we've done so far, everyone does something custom. It's
Makes
kind of
sense.
Isn't that
interesting.
cool?
Well, maybe.
It does.
.NET is at a standard place to read connection strings from specifically since the beginning. No one uses them. It turns out.
It's easy to figure out and hack when you have it. So if you put
That's
your
fine.
own custom setting, it's a lot harder. And
Yeah.
you also-
So we're going to do a very similar thing, right? So we're going to do what we did for the storage account. We're going to do for this one.
Yeah. Let him do it. So
So let's see if you can apply what we've taught you.
it's like class now. You're not. No pressure. Everyone's watching you.
You can also always reset up the live share if you want to make them type instead. So, or I guess me.
Yeah.
That's gross.
it's like
I'm
The
over
whole
here.
thing.
I'm driving the ship, dude.
2 underscores.
So you'll need to use 2 underscores in your name, and you don't want to end that line because we want to chain these calls. And just to remind folks, the reason it's 2 underscores is because underscore in environment variables is like already used as a thing on platforms. And so if we want it to represent a colon, in our case, we need to use 2. So it's encoded correctly. All right. Now, if you hover over with environment for me, Joe, let's just have a look at which overload of with environment it bound to. So you can see here, just do that again and try not to move so we can see the signature help. It's bound to the overload of with environment that accepts a resource where that resource implements a resource with connection string. Can you see that there?
Yep.
And that means that it's going to extract the connection string from the DB variable that you put in because the database resource type has a connection string and implements iResource with connection string. So the value you're going to get in the environment variable here is the connection string. Okay, this is all strongly typed, and under the covers, that is what's happening here. So if we run this again, or you hit the restart button in the toolbar, so next to the hot reload button.
Yeah, next to the fire emoji.
See that? That should be not that one. That's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. Why is that not the right restart button?
If you drop on the hot reload emoji, I know there. See, it says restart application.
Nice.
Just click that. It'll
kill
you shouldn't have
him.
to reopen the browser or anything. Just go back to your browser window.
Yeah, it should just.
And in theory, it should just reconnect. In theory, once it's up.
Is it a persistent dashboard?
It doesn't have to be. Oh, it'll relaunches. There you go.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's good. As long as it doesn't kill it.
Oh, see, with SQL servers just like me, unhealthy.
It's just taking its time.
Same. It's fine. Recovery is complete, baby.
Okay.
Did this work? I'm so shocked.
Go back. And we'll just look at the. That one still says that's interesting. Oh, there we go.
I thought we spent for hours trying to figure out how to make this thing work.
Why?
Like, I don't know.
Okay.
It's creation script.
Okay, so now if we go to the app, click on the row for your API project to bring up its details, and then scroll down to the environment variables and look for the connection string in the setting that you called it. Yep. And so there it is there. If we click on that, that'll be the key. Do it for the value.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then you can show value. Bottom left, you can say show value if you want to see it. All right, so there's the connection string. It's got passed through.
Nice.
That's the password that we created for you by virtue of the SQL Server hosting integration. That's stored in the user secrets of the app host project and gets retrieved each time. And that's so we have a stable password for this container that is currently set to be ephemeral. It starts up and shuts down every time, but we can change that in a minute. So let's go to your Swagger app, Swagger endpoint now, and try to see what happens. So hit the try it out button and we'll see what happens this time.
Should have no data, right?
And there's no data, but there's no error now. Excellent. And so we're connecting to the SQL Server instance that we started for you. Now, SQL Server is starting every time you start the project right now, and it's shutting down when you end the project. And that's because we haven't configured the container lifetime. So rather than starting it up and shutting it down every time, if you scroll back up to where you declare the SQL Server, which is the actual container, you can chain a call off the end of that SQL. Yep. And say with lifetime.
Yep. You have to watch a Lifetime movie or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, baby.
Pick your favorite one. And then it takes an enum. So you don't have to pass that in. It takes an enum container lifetime dot
persistent.
And just you want persistent.
What is annotation?
Not real.
Okay. Why is it there?
Copilot.
Oh, that wasn't Copilot. That was in the dropdown. Oh, I guess not. Yeah, persistent. All right, persistent it is.
It was probably when I did it this way.
Yeah, it showed annotations.
That's because
It's because it added
it's
the
not.
annotation, yeah.
It's because
Oh.
It's a filter.
this isn't filtered based on what's a valid
The
thing,
target
based on what's bound at the language
Yeah.
level. That's not how IntelliSense works.
That's sad.
So now if you do the restart of the application again, it'll shut down the container, and then the next time it creates the container, it shuts it down and destroys it. It should be really clear. Now it's going to create a new one. We're going to go through the whole SQL Server boot up. It's going to run your creation script, and then the next time will be faster. Now see the SQL Server line has that pin icon now? That marks it as persistent. Yeah, exactly. So that's now a persistent container. So once it's finished running your script, that will flip to healthy, because by default, we actually add a health check that verifies that the database name that you set up, which is what it's doing right now. It's the health check is running in the background, waiting for that database name to be valid. And then now it's valid. So next time you restart, should be faster.
Out of curiosity, why is the unhealthy a checkbox with the yield sign instead of just the yield sign?
Oh, because it's running. I think it means we use a different icon for when it is running and unhealthy versus when it is
Not yet running.
for
Yeah.
example, or whether it's shut down with an error.
Okay.
All right. So now we have it running in your database. How do you typically create like data? Do you have like a seeding script or something like that?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I do. No, it's pretty simple. There's only like 3 or 4.
You typically have the web app, and then you go in and just use the web app.
Yeah, basically.
So I think we're at a fork in the road here. So the web
I
app.
can go to the database and manually add a couple of records.
What dependencies? How complicated is your web app? That's a very open-ended question. Your web app needs to talk to this API.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Oh.
Let's try and just add the project to the app post. Now you can do it manually by typing all the code and adding the reference, or you can use the Visual Studio tooling. So if you right mouse click on the project, the web app project, and say add .NET Aspire orchestration again, it will detect that you already have Aspire in the solution. Go up a bit. Yep. And it will.
By the way, there's no icon for that.
Yeah. And so, see, it says here it's already in the solution. We're just going to update it to add this project to it. So you hit OK. It's going to go and do some magic. Now, if you go back to the app post CS, it's going to modify it. You say yes, reload. We should scroll to the bottom. You should see that it added the project, which it did.
Crazy.
So then what you're going to do is we need to create the connection between the web project and the API project. So on line 21, I want you to put a variable declaration and just say like var API equals.
I'm being taxed. Sorry.
Yeah, all good, all good. And then we're going to call a new method on line 26. You're going to chain a method off the end of add project, and instead of doing we're going to do add. We're going to do with reference. Okay. Instead of doing with environment, we're going to call with reference. And we're going to pass the API in as the argument to with reference.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then stop right there. Go up, hover over it for me. Hover over with reference. Hammer time.
Yeah.
Love it. This man's wit is quick. All right. Hover over with reference and look at what it's bound to. So there's 3 overloads, but the one that it bound to was one that says I resource with service discovery. So projects are marked as being able to be discovered through the Aspire service discovery system, which is just a configuration schema. It's not anything really more magical than that. It simply means that if a resource is decorated with iResource with service discovery, it means that you can reference it using with reference, and that exactly as it says here, it's going to inject a configuration key through the environment variable with that format. Now, to consume that on the other side, you could do it manually, or you could use the service discovery library, which does this for you. So we're kind of at a fork again. We need to decide, do we want to go and update your web project to use service discovery, which it
It
will
did,
be
right?
already because it's using the service defaults. But you'll probably need to change maybe how the HTTP client is being configured, but that's not a lot of work.
The only thing I really need is the URL.
Yeah, so if we go, well, you think you do.
Hold on. Do you use the client factory right now? In your code, do you use the HTTP client factory
Yes.
or anything? Then it might just work.
Yeah, so go to program.cs for me in your app. And can you show us where you're adding HTTP client factory?
It should be towards the bottom. Where is it?
Missed it. There. Okay.
Yep.
So you just okay. And then where you consume it, can you show me where you consume it then?
Generally here.
So where is the URL you think?
All right. Actually, inside the engagement, I parse it out.
It's in-app settings, right?
Yeah, app settings takes the base URL, and then I
Strongly type settings object. It's good. Okay. So can you go to where
It's in-app settings. I saw it before.
I understand that, but
Put it in there.
you just want to hard code it?
Yeah.
All right. So in API root URL, right here on line 3. Yep. So you're going to set this value in here.
Oh, do you want me to actually?
Yep.
Yep.
Literally set it. HTTPS://API.
And that's the Aspire magic string service discovery.
Okay, sorry. HTTPS://API.
API. And so the name here matches what you called it in the app post project.
So it's not API.
Okay, so if I called it,
Oh, you gave it the full.
this is the variable name, so you magically.
No, it's not the
or actually, no,
variable.
that's the name of. the
Yeah.
app.
You got it. It's the resource name that you passed in,
And this is why names are so important.
which
That's
is off the screen. Right. We had it there. It was just off
Yeah,
to the right. There it is.
No, so it actually should be this, shouldn't it?
That's correct.
Yep.
Because I actually didn't give it that name. That's what it happened when we right
That's
click.
what generated. Yep. And
Mhm.
it's just a string, so you can change it. It's just, as Fowler said, it's important that you refer to it with the correct name, whatever you define it as. So this should be enough, honestly.
Okay.
If there are no other dependencies for the front end other than it can talk to the back end, you should be able to just restart now and let's see if it works.
I saw key vault dependency.
I also saw some libman and some npm,
I saw it too. I saw
Ooh.
live, man. I was like,
so we'll see.
A singular libman.
Sorry, there's one thing I want to check this. I think I might need to append a /API to it.
Okay.
Oh yeah. All right.
Don't worry, they're all local.
okay, good.
Oh,
Wait,
good.
/API depends on how you use that value then.
Yeah.
Is where that's going to work.
Mm.
Typically, the way this would work is with this value gets set as the base URI of the HTTP client instance.
Okay,
Did we
let's give it a shot.
splitting out the host name to do service discovery specifically, so you don't have to manage those separately? I actually don't know off the top of my head.
I think it worked.
You think so?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can just put /API literally in
We-
there
we
and we still
parsed
do
the
our
URL.
thing. Okay. Perfect.
Yes, I don't because I just used the.
Okay.
Mm. Chat wants to know if you could have done with reference and override the setting.
Yes.
Override the value it goes into?
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
can you?
You can pass in the URL. You can pass in the URL directly.
No,
the
no,
same
no.
way we did for SQL and for
You mean,
storage?
okay, that's not what's
that's
being
one.
asked.
That's
though.
one pattern. I think it is.
Okay, maybe I'm just not.
Instead
trusting
of
the words.
this,
Instead
could
of
you
doing
use
reference-
with reference, but override the setting so it matches the app's
You mean the-
requirement?
I'm going to be super specific. You mean the key, the name of the setting specifically, right?
They want to know if they can do exactly what happened with SQL Server
Yes.
with this one.
The thing I'm bumping on is that service discovery config isn't a single value. It supports multiple values.
You can pass
per
in the endpoint
service.
directly. Pass
Okay,
in one
there
endpoint.
you go. So you can't do it exactly the same way. You would have to do it slightly different.
You would change what you wrote.
Yes, it's software. You
You
would
can-
write different
You would
things.
literally do this,
Yes, I know.
and you would.
It's fine, it's fine, it's fine,
you
it's
know
fine.
how it works.
It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
You can't. He's asking with reference. That's why I'm saying
No.
your answer is
A
incorrect.
different way. of doing it.
So the answer is no. You can't use with reference that way. You would have to call with environment and do it manually.
Okay.
Yes.
What I would say is you would do it the exact same way you did SQL Server and
Ooh.
table
Understood.
storage, which is not with reference.
Correct.
Which is with environment.
That is the full, complete answer with all the details that I was pushing you to say.
That's a
I'll put it in chat.
Learner mode. You have to explain everything.
learner mode.
All right. So it's running. Didn't explode. That's a good start. Let's see
Yeah.
what happens.
Well, it would list anything here, so there's nothing there. So
Right.
the API call was successful,
Yep.
as we can probably see if we go.
Fire
here.
logs. Fire logs. Yeah.
So now you've got structured logs.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
You can do it that way too.
There. Oh, I can click structured.
All right. And then
Yeah.
you'll see that there are. You can filter it to errors if you want. So on the top right, there's a filter.
Oh yeah, the little three.
The errors. There we go.
Yeah.
MSAL. So it's an authentication error.
Nice. My favorite.
So if you click on it,
Well, that
Click
was
on the-
probably
click on-
because the cookie expired, because that was the first time logged in. So that's probably why you got that error.
fine.
Cool.
So we can just ignore that safely.
Because I'm logged in,
Okay.
you can
So let's
see
go and
here.
try. Oh, perfect. So can we add an
Oh.
engagement? Can we do something to verify that you can talk to the database and do all the things?
Oh, question from the chat. Does this send out engagements if you do it in dev? Probably not, right? The connectors aren't on.
Correct, because they need the Azure functions. This would just stay in our database.
Oh, right.
Not go out
It just
until the
puts the
Azure
database
function
on.
does the actual work.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
But if I turned them on, then they would.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an ability to test, like a sandbox function or something? Or
I generally will. It'll save it to the local database.
Yep.
And then I could run the Azure functions in dev mode and just not run anything that actually pushes.
Okay.
We should try that. Maybe that's the note we'll end
That'll be
on.
hard mode.
That'll
Well,
be hard mode.
I think we make it once we see this work, we'll make a decision about whether we stop it here or whether we attempt to.
Function it.
Because getting functions to work isn't going to be as easy as web. I think
It might.
it might be. Well, then we could time bomb.
Safi is in the
We'll try
chat.
it. We'll try it.
She's probably watching this on the second mental thread. Well,
True.
Just mention it.
uh-oh. Error.
We got a bad request.
Type mapper.
So the API returned 400. It looks like.
Where do you go from here? The logs. No, you ignore this page completely. Look at the logs. The dashboard.
What was that?
You go to the dashboard logs.
dashboard will show you the actual like end to end.
So go to traces on the left-hand side now. And you can see now that it's showing you the actual calls, right? You can see the request that you just made. So the most recent one will be, I always forget, it's at the bottom.
Yeah, there. Home.
And you probably want the post that failed. So 4 lines up, that one. Click on that. And you can see the full call trace of the front end to the back end all the way to the database.
And you got back a 400.
You got a 400 from the API. When you posted from the front end to the back end, it looks like.
Yep.
You got a 400. Even though that talked to the database, which is interesting. What was the actual?
Are all the URLs right? Maybe we need.
Oh, is it the
It may be
missing
the slash API.
the missing slash API?
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be a 404?
Oh, that would be a 404.
Shouldn't that be a 404? I mean, unless you have a catch-all or something.
I guess.
No, I don't.
Look at the logs, I guess, on the back end, since I think you have verbose logs turned on.
Mm-hmm. In the oh,
No, not in there.
yeah, you can go on the dashboard.
I mean,
the dashboard.
You can either look in structured logs on the left, Joe.
You can view logs for this trace.
Yeah, top right hand corner, there's a view logs button.
Upper right hand.
Yeah, it's text. It's like a hyperlink. Yep.
And these are the logs for that trace.
That span multiple.
And there's the and so you want to find the
Security
error that
token.
happened in the API. So can you expand the resource column just so we can see which one is which?
Yeah.
All right. So then scroll to the bottom. So the web, well, okay, that's the same.
response.
That's the web tier saying it had an error, but the API tier isn't saying anything is wrong.
Yeah, but it said that. Oh,
They're sending post requests.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the backend call.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I don't see any errors.
oh, Will asked in the chat if we
Yeah.
would tighten up the spacing on this.
I mean,
I think
it
we
could be an
should.
option too, just like it is in Teams, right?
Yeah.
You could choose a layout, make it more condensed, and we just compress all the padding. That would be a good idea.
Yeah. Put in the chat. Reading the thing.
Request path engagements add.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. Chat thinks it's
And
API.
it had an action name, so it got all the way to it ran a controller, then it returned
Yeah.
400.
It did bind.
It worked, and it failed.
But then
It
why is
worked
there no
and it
error?
failed. Yeah, where's the
It's
error?
like validation failed.
Yeah, it's not.
400 is
yeah.
a validation error typically. If it got to the controller, which it looks like it did,
This is why I think having the actual request response.
Oh, you know why?
why?
Because this is in the past.
Probably.
It's a validation error.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, this is. I
Yeah,
think
see, now I get the check marks.
Yep.
It's valid.
in Devo we should definitely have.
Nope,
Oh.
Still failed.
But is it because it's the same name as something you tried to add? A
No,
proxy.
that shouldn't
What do you
matter.
mean?
Response and
Oh, I see, I see.
How would you typically raise validation errors on this UI, Joe?
I mean, normally there would be something, above the save, below the comments, and these would turn red if there was a validation error. But I can't
on-
guarantee that I actually did that.
Okay, that's on the web tier though. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if there's a back end validation error, does it flow all the way through to your front end?
It should flow through.
Okay.
I should get those validation errors.
Okay,
Fact.
so we could try turning up the logging on your API project and then see if you see more information if you set it to debug, for example.
Mm,
So one thing we should attempt to show here is that you don't have to kill the entire
Don't stop
project
anything.
to do this. You should be able to keep the
in the
app
in the
functioning.
dashboard. Yep.
So in Visual Studio, to turn up logs, you have to edit the configuration of the app. So go to the app settings for the API project.
He's using Serolog, but not our default.
Is he not logging anything to the command line?
Via Serolog.
What about the structured logs? The trace-
That's VR. So.
Yeah, so that will work. So I would go to the app settings. App settings.development.json. Is that nested underneath app settings? Yep. So
Nice.
open that. Scroll down to logging, right? And where it says ASP.NET Core, change ASP.NET Core from warning to debug.
Yeah.
That's just the nuclear option at the moment. And then save it, and then make the request again.
Someone asked, how did we set up hotel instrumentation flow? HP client defaults just work? Yes, we spent .NET 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Making that work.
Adding default logging and tracing and the end-to-end to ASP.NET Core and HP client. So it's
Pretty
in
awesome.
there. It's built in.
Pretty awesome.
What do you have
So
to do to
You've got a
Refresh
filter
it.
on them all. Yep. So
There we go.
yep, and then go to resource. Just filter the resources. So see the resource
yeah.
drop down under structured logs. Change that to the API.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you've got a bunch of debug stuff now, right?
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
scroll back up to where it's processing the request.
Sorry, their bad request update.
Oh.
Go back down.
Go back down.
Go back down. Keep going.
The request has model state errors. Request was short circuited.
That's what it is.
So it's one of those.
Select. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's model validation.
Yep.
It looks like. So go where it says done attempting to bind parameter engagement of type. So the very top.
The very
one that you
top
have-
right now.
Keep going. No, sorry.
Oh, that was it.
that one's
That was
two
it.
of them. That's a parameter.
Oh, so
So
up,
here-
yeah, that one.
See if any one of these is the one that has the. It says done attempting. What was the result?
Yeah.
Do we log the result of a bind? I would have thought so. No.
What kind of result is it talking?
This is all the binding. I'm trying to find the. Then it says validate. And it was so. Look at the attempted to validate section. A log. Sorry. Yep. What does that say? If you look at the details of that.
Context.
No, it'll be in.
What
the-
you really, really, really want is the response body.
Yes,
I mean,
we do want the
that's
response
true,
body.
Nothing else that
But
will
okay, that's one.
You can't see it.
You can't see.
There's no response body.
Understood. But I guess my question is why, when we log that we attempted to validate, we don't log what the result of the validation was. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe somewhere. I don't know either.
I know we're all just used to looking at the stream, like, oh, there's the body. It's problem
And
details, whatever it
done
might be.
attempting doesn't have it.
But the whole point of this logging is that it tells you what
If it
happened.
was somewhere, it would be at the last. So scroll down.
Well, this says
that's it.
return
Not
an
all
error
errors.
response.
Yeah, click on that one.
It won't tell you. That's literally it.
Should we use the browser tools?
Won't help.
It's not going to help you. You could go to Swagger and
Swagger?
try and completely do the same thing that
Yeah.
the front end is doing, but we don't know
You
what the
could,
front
you
end
could
is
turn
sending.
on response logging. You can see it.
So you could.
You can see the actual body. That
How?
might help.
How?
Go into your app. Go into your API app.
The code?
The API or the
The
But-
API, yeah.
The API.
So the chat is saying the done attempting does have more text,
Oh.
that we didn't look at the full message.
Oh.
So we're back on the dashboard in the trace view. The structured logs view,
Mm-hmm.
the API where it said done attempting.
Right there.
Yeah.
Done attempting to validate. Yep.
It just tells you what it was.
Domain models engagement.
It doesn't-
Yeah, but if you click on it, there's no other fields in there. No.
Typically, we embed the data that is tokenized in structured logging into the message. We don't have many, I think, where we add additional stuff other than the context.
Yeah,
Which is
that's
what
true.
shows up, right?
That's true.
But you can check. You can click on the row and look at other data that was added to this structured log that isn't in the message. It'll be there as a. That's too far. So if you scroll up, these things here are the things that were attached to this structured log. So like the request path, for example, that was attached as in the data bank.
Yep.
Nothing in here is telling you what the result was, which
Yeah,
seems
that's
like
weird.
an oversight, honestly.
Yeah, that's weird.
If this is semantically when the validation occurs, it'd be nice to see what the result was,
Yeah.
whether it was valid or not. But it looks like it's not.
Did they say that? If it is valid, but you want the actual errors.
It would be nice, yes. It would be nice to know what the field was and all the rest of it. Yeah. At some verbosity.
I think you should just turn on response logging. It'll
Oh, I bet you I know what it is.
Oh.
Oh, good.
So if we look at it now,
Yep.
what do we see?
It's looking for an array of talks.
Exactly. We didn't. There is no array, so I wonder if it failed because of that.
Oh, that's pretty funny. All right.
So,
Just comment it out. Yeah.
so hang on. Why are there no talks UI here? Because we haven't added a talk first?
Yeah, typically I add the engagement. Well, I'm just assuming I add the engagement after the engagement, then I add a series of talks. So think of engagement as a conference. I'm going to speak at, build, and then here are my different talks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Build.
But
So,
how would you typically do this so that it
In the UI?
works? Like, are you saying that the API just isn't really set up to accept an engagement without talks in the system at the moment?
from what I can tell, yes.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
Okay.
Let me.
We want to
It's an easy way to test. I can just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to add the
The UI.
logging
Oh.
so we can see the outputs and see what the error says.
You just want to see
Yeah.
the error.
Yeah, I mean, like that's why it's failing errors.
Do you return problem details from your API?
We could
Joe?
just log it, or we could.
I don't remember if I do or not.
If there's no problem details, what gets returned from a validation error in API controls by default, other than 400? Yeah, but if there's nothing returned, the logs will show you nothing other than the 400, which we already know.
Well,
That's- Right?
But if there's no errors in the response body at all from the API call,
I love how nobody can see you guys.
then we're like,
Then it's failing because it's a 400.
I guess if there's no error anywhere on the server, then we can't see it anywhere
Exactly.
at all.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
So I'm not sure adding. I mean, we can add response logging here if you want to. I am giving you a
might just- it
50-50
might just
chance.
say
What you will see it says 400.
So this is the method that gets called. So I tried to do a create,
Uh-huh.
and if the create fails, or
Yeah.
basically if the save fails, I return the problem with failed. to
It
save.
is a problem, but it doesn't have any of the details.
Okay.
Because problem.
We didn't see this message at all.
No, and you won't because nothing shows that. This is from the API. If
Okay.
you had request logging, you would see that.
I'm not sure you're right. Like the thing showed the filter short circuiting.
It
It
did.
didn't even get error,
That means validation failed, and then
which
it
means
didn't
the
get to
thing,
here.
which means
Yep.
the thing is going to show. the
So as
response.
long as the app is configured to return problem details. But you're right.
I
So-
think it's there. I think it'll work.
okay. Try it.
I think it'll work.
Try it.
All right, what are we doing?
Go
He
to
wants to turn on response logging.
Yeah.
Go to your middleware. Go to your program class. It's never easy to turn on.
No, that's the web.
That's the wrong one. They're all called program. That's why we changed it to app host. Inspire.
In your
So
API.
they'll all be called app host, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but typically there's only one app host and a solution, so
Yeah, it's true.
it's
And
Okay.
then go somewhere in your startup, you want to call builder services add HTTP logging. And then you got to turn on response body stuff specifically. Add HTTP logging.
HTTP
Mhm.
logging.
And then you have to turn on a middleware.
From the docs in the
search for
chat.
The use calls. Down.
Down.
I'm sorry.
Search for like the app.build or the build
that's fine.
call.
Right there.
Right there.
Line 102.
The app.use HTTP logging. And then I think you have to hold on. I'll try to find.
Does it
the,
take an argument? Is it options?
not in the map, not in the use,
Oh.
in the add.
It doesn't take an instance?
You
As well?
gotta-
Don't
you
allow
gotta,
middleware
um,
support both?
There you go.
Good. If it's in development, we're going to
Good.
turn on logging.
Perfect.
Good
In-
engineering.
In the add, you need to configure printing the body.
Way back up
I
at the
believe,
top.
At the very
Okay.
top where you added it.
So is it a lambda or
The lambda, yeah. There's an options in there. And you can just turn on options. So you gotta, the first argument is the options object. And then you would turn on logging fields dot all. It's an enum. So you set logging fields to equals that's enum you have to assign to. So that's the setting. Yep. Equals nope.
oh equals, sorry.
And you can normally turn on some subset of properties. You want to just turn on all for-
Request body
for
or
dev.
all. Okay.
The dev just turn it on.
Just do all for dev
This is like running Fiddler, but it's running in app
in process. Yeah.
effectively.
This will dump the request and response bodies into the logs, console and separate logs. So it's going to eat your memory. Well, we do it pretty well, so it's not as bad as if you did it.
Yeah.
And it's not on by default because you might have like sensitive data in like headers and all this stuff. So we
Right.
have stuff to redact sensitive fields.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Kids don't try this at
No,
home.
and read the docs, basically.
Yeah.
Before
Read
you
the
do this,
docs.
Read the docs for the considerations of
That's
the,
ironic coming from you too.
Yeah. The considerations that you should think about before enabling request logging. So restart the app. Obviously, we'll need. Wait! Don't do it from there. Go back to the dashboard. Make sure this is
Whoa.
saved.
No, rebuild the app.
No. Go back to the dashboard. It should just work, right?
Is it
What?
going to rebuild it?
It should.
What would it be?
Why wouldn't it? Okay, stop the API project.
No, hold on.
What do you mean? Hold on.
Pause.
So confused.
I know, me
Pause.
too.
Pause.
You don't trust me, do you?
What do you want to do?
I'm going to stop the project, go back to VS, rebuild it, go back, and then start it.
You don't have to stop it. It restarts in place in VX.
If you do what?
Rebuild that one project.
Okay. So go to the build menu.
Right click on
Right click on the project.
Right, no, do that.
Right click on the
and
project
build it.
and hit build.
See
Up
if
top,
this works.
way up top.
Hold on, just to prove it works. Open the dashboard.
No.
I mean,
No.
Let's show it. We're on stream. Open the dashboard.
How are you going to do both?
How is he going to do
I'll
both?
show you. Hold on. Open the dashboard.
Okay.
Pull up the details view for that resource,
Okay.
the project, and watch the
The process ID
watch
will
the page
change.
will change.
You're a pid.
This thing is still
Do you want this?
yeah.
Right
So,
there, process ID
53268. Okay.
so rebuild the
Yeah. Now in the
Yeah,
Solution
yeah.
Explorer, right click build at top. Yep.
Hit build.
issue cycle.
This build started. There is a hotkey for that.
Control Shift B.
No, that builds the solution. You
Oh.
don't want to do that.
Control B.
No.
Hey,
So it
10A20.
So
And now it should just.
yeah, that's it. That's all you have to do.
Don't
Yeah.
you-
Now
No,
it.
no,
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Now you can full screen the dashboard again.
Now, yeah. The point of that was to show that you don't have to tear down the whole world and start it up again. If
How
you just made a
nice.
code change in one project, like your API,
Yep.
you can just build it, and VS will take care of
Restart.
just shutting that one
Restart,
down.
rebuild, yeah.
All right. Let's see what happens
let's
here.
retry
And
this.
that works in VS and VS Code now.
It works with VS Code now. Good.
Yeah.
Assuming you launched from VS Code.
Right. That checks out. Look at you with your real URLs.
Branding, baby.
Woo!
Yeah.
Nice.
Where did you get the country list? I'm wondering.
That's pretty well.
Chat GPT.
There are probably many sites that
Yeah,
have.
sure.
Ah,
Oh,
Wait,
wait. Why did it work that
why did it
time?
work that time?
Maybe you just needed to add a comment last time.
I bet. Okay.
I bet the comment is what just the
I mean, so-
array.
Okay, so I add a new engagement.
Or just hit edit and delete the comment. That's fine.
Yeah.
that would suck if that was it.
That's so freaking funny. Who is a
This is
headless
very
speaker?
developer.
David is to my left.
Oh,
Lean in
That was
quickly.
me.
Yeah.
you
That's
blame me for
Fowler.
whatever it was that I said that I don't realize.
Yeah. You're just the headless speaker on the council.
Okay, so yeah, he's safe.
Ah, make comments required.
Okay, now in the back
logs.
dashboard, in the
Go to
dashboard
log and
logs.
see if it shows up.
Yeah,
Oh, it
Damien does
shows an
not.
error now.
See that? There's an error.
Nice.
Yep,
That's the front end.
that's the front end. So
Yep.
filter, you're filtered to the wrong project right now. So filter.
I just
to the
want to see what's coming in here, if anything.
It would be the
Generic-
same as what it
generic
was
HTTP
before.
error,
Yeah. I mean, my hot take. This is one of the challenges with
Right there.
any distributed application.
But that's what you want in the
Yeah.
Like this,
Understood.
This is super useful. So pull up the value. Yeah. Open that thing.
Better
Open that
logs would have
thing.
helped as well. But that's
Yeah,
fine.
that button.
Right.
The
Comment
comments
field
field is required.
And you can. It's not JSON. It's not JSON.
It's problem
Why
details.
is it? Oh,
is
select
problem
format in the
details.
top right.
Yeah.
Select format.
Why?
Oh, that's
I mean, it's not
weird.
proper JSON. It's weird.
No, it's because this is at the beginning of it.
Oh, I
You
see.
log the
It's a
message
log.
that is not JSON. So it's
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
it's what we said.
There's a log.
It was validation. So it means, Joe, that your front end app is not always handling validation errors that are returned from the back end app and then
We
presenting
found a
them to the user.
bug.
And then finding out what it was damning because none of that's logged by default. Even with setting it to debug, you don't see anything about why it failed, right?
I think it's more workers responsibilities. I think it's just.
I know you go straight
It's the
to
best hammer.
you want printf debugging. That's what you're saying.
It
Yeah.
just solves so many problems.
get it.
in
I get
one-
it.
What is,
one-
what's on that sticky note
one
now?
screen.
I get it. All right, but we know what it was, so it is working.
Validation error. Yeah. File it. File it. Okay. So it works.
It works. So the app is now working.
So where if one of us was to clone this, it would fail because of Entra, right?
Yes,
That's about it.
Okay.
but the rest of it is basically reproducible now.
Yep.
But the intro could also be turned off too.
Oh,
And it's simple as just where is it? In the program files,
mm-hmm.
there is somewhere towards the bottom. Turn this off to prevent it in the swagger.
Yeah.
And then down here, you can turn this off, and then that just avoids it.
I mean,
And
yeah,
the API.
Yeah. Okay. But I think we have. This is good. We've gone to the point where we've got a front end and a back end. We've got Azure Storage Emulator running. We've got SQL Server running. SQL Server was initialized using your existing creation scripts. The front end was able to successfully eventually create a record in the back end, but during the process, we also had to figure out how to get logs, like response logs, to show up. Just because this app isn't quite making those visible right now, but we went through the process to do
I think
that.
we could do that with service default as like an optional thing.
Maybe.
It's,
Maybe not.
It's a lot to consider when you do response logging.
Okay.
It's doing development, but
I think we could do it potentially as a.
I think it should be a
As a
service and
proxy.
Aspire. We've talked about this for a
It could be
while.
like-
Yeah.
Aspire itself.
But
Okay. All right.
we also didn't accomplish what we wanted to, which was to use this
Yes.
container.
Oh,
try
if we want to use the existing one.
Let's try it.
Let's do
try
it.
Let's do that as the last thing.
That's
Let's
the last
try and do
thing.
that. Let's try and do
Yeah.
that.
So
Let's go back to your app host. I mean, you can stop the app at this point.
Yeah, just give it a good-
because
give it a
we're gonna
good kill.
We're going to be fiddling with the app host. Just close the console that are open is the easiest way. When you control F5ing, it launches its own thing. Just close that, and that will kill the process.
nice.
And then
Yeah, I'm still on the stream.
Yep. Hey, yeah, you're still on the stream. We're
All right.
good.
So go back to your app host.cs, and then what we're going to do is figure out what do we need to change to have it connect to your existing SQL server rather than this new container that we've created.
Right.
So there's two things we can do. We can model it as a connection string, or we can change the add SQL server call so that the name is stable and it points to the same container that you already have.
Mm-hmm.
So if you scroll back up a bit, Joe, and to be totally honest, this is something I've never tried. Where you call add SQL server and you give it a name here, you said add SQL server. Is it a separate method, like with container name?
Yes, with container name.
Right. So do a new line and then do dot with container name, and give it the name of the other container, the one that you have already, your dev container.
It's hard
Just called
name.
SQL server. Easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still not JavaScript.
Is it case sensitive? I would just
Find
make
out.
the case match, so uppercase Q and uppercase L.
Was that what I had?
Wow,
Yep.
good memory. I didn't even look.
I think that's literally all you have to do,
I think so too.
because you've already got persistent there, so it's not going to try and the thing that
Should I comment this out?
no. In theory, because it's already there, it won't try to create it. The thing that I'm not sure of is we basically run an algorithm to figure out is the container that's already there
Usable.
have the same spec as what you're telling us about here. So does your existing container, does it use a volume or a bind mount or anything like that?
It uses a volume to keep the data persistent.
Right. We're going to have to mimic that here, otherwise it's going to see the spec as being different,
Right.
and it will shut down the old one,
Yep.
destroy it, and create a new one. You don't want to do that.
Dot
This is why I'm a
with-
little
Is that what it
like,
does?
what do you think it does?
It kills the old one?
What do you think it
I
does?
don't know. I don't know.
Make sure that in the chat,
I
RMBL,
saw it.
you need to be using a version of Aspire that is newer than 9.0.
It's not that.
You don't think so? What is it?
Cosmos
when
DB?
when you do the emulator call, it's inside the call, not
Oh, you mean
not
the
on
thing
other
I
side.
foreshadowed an hour and a half ago when you said do it all as chaining calls?
That's what I said. Don't blame him.
You still change.
Yeah, you can. So do you use a volume or a bind mount?
I don't remember.
Look at the Docker, yeah.
Yeah, just go and look at your Docker spec.
Here, click on this bad boy.
Look at bind mounts.
Okay.
They are bind mounts, not volumes.
Yep.
So you basically will just need to call with bind mount and copy those values that you have here into the outpost to match.
The destination or the source?
Both.
Although, like, hold on. To be fair, you don't want this anyway.
What?
'Cause You don't want to do this because this is specific.
Yeah, that's right.
To his machine.
That's right.
What you want is to be portable.
Well, there are trade-offs here.
There are
let's
trade-offs
just
here.
explain all the different modes here. What Fowler is saying is the way you have your local dev SQL server container set up is you share it across multiple apps, right, Joe?
Yep.
Yeah. And so if you wanted to model this to use that, then you kind of lose. The trade-off is that, well, then you don't get the automatic bootstrapping, right? Because you would model it as a connection string, and then someone who walks up to this would have to do the job of making sure that the thing at the end of that connection string is correct. So you kind of have to decide, right? Do you want to use a SQL server that you have already and that you're responsible for configuring, in which case you model it as a connection string, or do you want the app host to be responsible for ensuring the SQL server is there, in which case you do what we've done already, right? You model it as add SQL server, you say this is my lifetime. If you want to use a data volume, you can just call with data volume or with data bind mount, and it'll give it the values it needs, and we'll make sure it goes in there. But that's really for a dedicated thing, right?
Right.
That's about using something that's already there.
So for this working example, you can kind of do what I did here, since locally I have this SQL database here, and then if it's non-debug, just follow the scenario where the app host does it.
Yep.
Just so that it works.
You could. So that's using a configuration, a build configuration. I would probably use a launch profile personally rather than a build configuration to do that. It just depends on what pivot you want to use. Like, when do you want to use one branch of the code versus another branch of the code? You have like 4 pivots. There's the configuration you're using here, which is the build configuration. You have the launch profile that you're using, and you can just add as many of those as you want. You have the run mode of the app host. Am I currently running it, or am I publishing this thing? And then the last one that I had in mind was environment.
Yep.
Right. So we have the context of named environments. You could say, hey, am I in development? Am I in test? And you can have more than one development environment, and you can manage those from your launch profile. So then you can do combinations of those pivots to do even more complicated things.
Statements.
Right? It's just if statements. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Or
using config, using the various pivots you have available to you.
Yep.
So, and again, it all depends. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what you should do, because it differs from project to project, environment to environment, just what you want to do. So
I think you need a second argument in that too. I think you need to add the target, right?
no, with data bind mount, you don't have to specify the target, because that's what the data bit is. So
It's going to do it automatically. Okay.
because with data, again,
With an existing one.
if you hover over with data bind mount
Okay.
and look at what it's binding to, see how it's binding specifically to SQL Server resource. And so that means this, and it says adds a bind mount to the data folder to a SQL Server resource. It knows where SQL Server puts its data inside the container.
Oh.
It's specific. If you did with bind mount,
We
Right.
don't have one for logs, right?
if you, we don't. You can do it manually. If you do with bind mount, you have to pass both. You have to say,
Okay.
hey, where am I binding from, and where am I
I
binding
see. I
to?
see. But data bind mount knows because it's SQL. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Bind mount would require both, because you need to tell it where in the
Yep.
container
String
you're
target.
binding to.
Wow. That's fancy.
We have all the permutations.
That's so hard to figure out which one to use.
Right. So I would, as you've written the code here, knowing how your container is set up, I would never run this on your machine, because, I mean, it would
Because
probably
he's scared.
be fine.
Because he's scared.
This trying
It's just because you have a shared container that you use across multiple things. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just important to understand what it's going to do. That's all. But I think folks get a sense of the flexibility here. You have to make a decision, right? You have to decide how you want this thing to run, and then what pivots to use, and then you can write the code appropriately for your scenario. The simplest thing is what you have here, Joe, and it's just going to create a separate SQL Server container for this post effectively,
That's what you want.
and keep it running around,
You
which
want-
is the most isolated. So
Portability.
yeah, it gives you portability.
It's like hard coding ports.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
It's the same problem.
which we do in launch settings.
Which is really bad.
Well, except the alternative is equally bad for different reasons.
Yeah.
So, All right. I
Okay.
think we should call it there.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think we've covered a lot of stuff, and we've gotten to something that's pretty functional.
Joe, how do you feel?
To quote one of my, I can't do it over on live TV. I think
Do
to
you?
get a quote from Revenge of the Nerds.
Whoa. What questions do you have? We've just been kind of bashing you over the head.
Yeah.
So
I think the only question I would have is, now that this is done, what's next for publishing? Like, how do I get this and replace my, 2 app service with 2 websites in it, one for API, one for that, the SQL server. Where do I go now? Now I got the development environment done, but how do I make this a real product now?
You have an option, right? You can do nothing.
Yep.
And just use Aspire to streamline local development, get the dashboard, etc., etc. But if you want to use the app host to drive deployment as well, then you model more stuff, right? So you would actually model your app service compute environment. We call those compute environments. Compute environments is where compute runs. Containers run, and your projects. And so you would literally add the Azure App Service package. And then in your app host, you would add the Azure App Service compute environment. And then you would assign project and other compute to those compute environments. You can add more than one, and you can assign each project to a different one if you want to, all that type of thing. And then eventually you go through doing all of that stuff, and then you can publish this project using Aspire Publish, and that will give you a set of assets that you can run, which includes Bicep, because you're using Azure stuff. And then you can choose to deploy that Bicep however you want. Or if you want to go full red pill or purple pill, then you use Aspire to do the deployment as well, but that doesn't exist yet. We're still working on that. So you could attempt to use AZD.
You would use AZD.
I mean, use AZD today.
To make this be deployed, if you wanted to go full red pill and make this thing fully deployable, you would have to make some changes.
Yes.
So some big ones in here are like, you would use probably Azure SQL instead of using a SQL Server container. That's one.
Well, that's what I'm using in production.
Yeah. So you would model Azure SQL Server and not just SQL Server. Other one is the with creation script does not work in deployed environments yet. At least.
Yeah.
So we would have to replace that with something else. And the other one is you would probably want your Azure functions configured as well. We'd add that in here somewhere. You want it for local dev and for deployment.
Right.
And then other pieces, we have support for app service, but it is app service for containers. So I saw your Pulumi script. You could model probably the same thing using Aspire. Like if you made the Azure SQL change and you added functions, it would probably be mostly the same. I say that the main thing is we don't support Azure functions in app service. We support them on container apps. So it would flip you over to container apps for that end to end by default. We're pretty close to having it work. I would say the same way as we're pretty close to having it so you can enable what you had for Pulumi in here as well. But I think right now we aren't all the way there yet. You'd end up with an ACA environment with the functions in ACA and it all running in that one thing as containers.
Okay. So it sounds like I got a little work to do, and then I have myself a conference workshop.
We might. I mean, I think Maddie is going to help you because we should use this to broadcast like this show.
Yeah.
This show itself, right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, this show. Right.
Yeah.
This thing. Yeah.
I mean,
All
we
the
can go
social
in
media.
and work on it then. Oh, let me send the repo link again too, so people can check on it. Just push up a branch somewhere and we'll party in it. And Jay. Nice.
No.
Yeah, you could also, if you really wanted to, you can move everything to ACA. But if you like app service, I mean,
I mean, that's just
preview
like I
app
said,
service thing.
when
Yeah.
I started this apparently 4 years ago.
Wow.
We're learning, and things have changed over time.
That is true. Did ACI even exist 4 years ago?
4 years? I don't know.
Maybe barely.
Maybe better. I thought it was released shortly before Aspire. We started working on Aspire.
That's pretty funny.
No,
Might have been a public preview.
It was there before.
Okay.
Ooh, and you'll be able to update your developer getting started guide now. We should have looked at that. Hold on. Click on that.
There'll be no guide. It'll just be run.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Look at all the scrolling in here.
Sorry, is
funny.
that too much?
Yeah.
You still need to be able to. We could probably get rid of all. This is good documentation.
This is good documentation.
But I would say like what you need to know is you would clone. We could even automate libman restore if you want.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Um,
Ideally, this is clone, set up, get the things you need.
biggest thing you need
Clone and
are
run.
the tokens from external services.
Yep.
Everything else can be just automated via the Aspire project. npm node.js. Ooh, human get.
Well, that was to install Azure, but now you can actually. I have a different container that runs Azure, right?
Yeah, so you don't need it from NPM or whatever else. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Sick. All right. Wow. That
Awesome.
we did pretty good.
I think so. I mean, things happened. We taught stuff. We did some new stuff.
We did some new stuff
we've done before, but in a different app. Any answer questions?
Joe, if you want, in like, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 months, whatever, we can come back and do publishing once you have the whole thing kind of aspirified. The reason I'm saying months instead of like soon is because I want more stuff to land.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So
Cool.
But all right. Parting thoughts from this Friday the 13th, Joe, from you. Ooh.
I think it was a lot easier. It's a lot easier actually doing it than it was, sitting in a talk or watching a video or so. But that's the way I learn.
Yeah.
The dashboards are really cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Getting to see all the traces without having to click between all the windows is just so helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, question in the chat. Can you use Aspire to install the tooling? Yeah, you totally can do that too.
Yep.
We were actually when Joe joined the StreamYard, Fowler and Damien were fighting about exactly that and how to implement it in a repeatable way. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I'm trying to think if I should say anything. Like and subscribe. Sponsored by coffee.
Join us at the next.
Right.
What are we doing in the next one?
Yeah. So last week I said that Ed was coming this week because he had originally scheduled this week and then moved, and then Joe took the spot.
Nice.
So I totally lied. Now Joe is here, but Ed is coming next week, and I believe what we're doing is we're ripping out a bunch of things and putting emulators in Ed's project.
Ooh, okay.
So it's already Aspirified.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Council of Aspirations will be taking on a new challenge.
Nice.
Yeah. And then let us know what you want to see. I saw like a bunch of good comments in the chat, multi-repo, more about deployment. Yep. And so like, if you have an app that's Aspirified or that you need to Aspirify that fits one of those solutions, like let me know. Hit us up on the blue sky. Skeet me. Skeet me.
Nice.
And hopefully soon we'll start automatically posting about all these Aspirifications thanks to Joe's app.
Yeah.
So, all right, everyone, enjoy your weekend.
Thank you all.
See you later.
Bye. Thanks.